Well, that one really sucked, guys. Buckle up because we are all drinking loser beverages tonight. Unfortunately, that is the case for this team. Loser beverages for everybody. Welcome back to the fans. Very upset host Ace here on Running with the Devils, where we are talking New Jersey Devils hockey all year long. Please hit that subscribe button, smash the like, share with a friend. Thank you very much. And as you all know, win or lose, we booze. Gonna have some Coronas tonight. Cheers to all of you, especially for showing up after a tragic outing like that one that we saw tonight. But cheers to everybody. This one's painful. A lot to get to. I'm sure there's going to be tons of doomers here celebrating the loss. But win or lose, we booze. And the New Jersey Devils looking to keep the winning alive on the road. Third game of the road trip. Head to Tampa. New bodies back in the lineup. Dougie's back. Connor Brown is back. Dadonov is back. Everyone feeling good pregame. And the boys just lay an egg. Lay a complete egg. Brutal, brutal outing. And wow, I'm waiting for all of the nonsense in the comments, but the Devils get just pummeled, losing by a score of 5-1. And this one really sucked. Obviously, a 5-1 loss sucks. I'm not going to bury Marky. He did not play good whatsoever. But neither did the team in front of him. This was a team loss, complete team loss. And it's discouraging. But again, a lot of you live very much in the moment, shift by shift. And this game sucked. Hopefully they play much better in Florida in a couple days from now. But we get to the goals here. Guentzel starts it off for Tampa in the first breakaway. Marky was just frozen, kind of not a reaction whatsoever. Guentzel blows it by him. Late in the first, kind of the backbreaker, just sloppy by the Devils in the D zone. It should have been an icing. The Devils did get screwed there. That definitely should have been an icing. It wasn't an icing. I think the Devils were kind of caught by surprise there. They were all expecting the icing. Dilly makes a little play to get it to Luke or near Luke, and Luke kind of lost the battle. They get it to Kucherov in front. You leave him there in that spot, he's going to score probably 8 out of 10 times, maybe 9. Kucherov rips one past Marky with 22 seconds left in the first, and that really just kind of deflated the team, I think. Down 2-0 after one, and then we get to the second, and then Guentzel gets another one on the power play, 3-0, and at that point, the game was over to me. Just between how the team looked leading up to that, and, the way Marky looked, it was just after 3-0, I was like, this one's finished. Maybe they make it respectable. And they did. Later on in the period, or at least made it respectable for a time. Nico gets that fluke goal. No distinct kicking motion. It goes off his skate towards the net. The Lightning guy hit it with his glove in an effort to try to get it out. 3-1 Devils with a couple minutes left in the second. The Devils buzzing late in that period, had a couple chances to try to make it 3-2. Vasilevsky had a very solid game, in my opinion. Devils couldn't get another one in that second. And the second period ends 3-1. Looking for a miracle in the third, and it just never came. Tampa adds another one. Radish blasts one past Marky. I thought that was one he probably wants back. And then Guentzel again on the power play for the hat trick. 5-1. Game over. Just ugly outing for the New Jersey Devils. Ugly in pretty much, and I don't think they played as bad as the score indicates, but in the end, it was a sloppy game. Had chances. Vasilevsky's a very good goalie. He looked very good tonight. We go to the game stats. Devils 32 shots on goal to Tampa's 29. Devils getting the edge in the face-off department, 55.6% to 44.4% for the Lightning. Devils power play was powerless, sloppy power plays. And again, special teams, I don't think that it would have made a huge difference in this game, but it definitely could have made it closer. But the Devils just got curb stomped in special teams tonight. 0 for 4 on the power play. Tampa goes 2 for 3 on the power play, and that's a recipe for disaster. We've seen nights where the Devils were 100% on the power play and 100% on the kill. Tonight, it was almost the exact opposite. Had Tampa scored on the third power play, it would have been the complete opposite. But pretty close to as bad as it gets. Can't get one power play goal, and you give up 2 or 3 while shorthanded. Devils 17 hits, Lightning with 14. Devils 11 block shots, Lightning with 7. Devils 12 giveaways. Lightning 11 giveaways. Devils 6 takeaways. And the Lightning with 4 takeaways. Brutal stuff, guys. I mean, wow. I definitely expected a much better showing. And then we get to, let's see what we got here. Stefan Nason, 3 shots and 2 hits. Nico with the only goal, 4 shots, a block, and 4 hits for Nico. Connor Brown in his first game back, a -2, 1 shot and a hit. Nothing else really jumping off here. Dadonov, a shot, a block, and a hit. Paulie Cotter with 3 shots. Brodeur with an assist, 2 shots, 2 hits. Grits with an assist, 4 shots, 3 hits. Lemico with 3 hits. Dawson Mercer, 2 shots, 2 blocks. Dilly with 3 shots, 2 blocks, and a hit. Dougie with 3 shots, a block. Simon Nemec, 3 shots, 2 blocks. Luke Hughes, 2 shots and a block. And Marky, 24 saves on 29 shots for an .828 save percentage. That is certainly not going to help his numbers on the season. And wow, guys, there's not much to say about this one. This is a throwaway game. The team sucked. Marky sucked. Never really were in it. Maybe for a brief time in the closing moments of that second period after the Nico goal, they came to life but couldn't get another one. And they lost. They lost a bad one. They got a rebound for Florida. Obviously, I'm not going to make excuses. It was a shit performance. But, again, look where they are in the standings. Look at the injuries they've had to overcome. I'm not going to sit here and declare the season over like many of you lunatics will. This team will be fine, but it was an ugly game with some fresh bodies back, and it's going to take some time. I'm curious to see if we see any further tinkering with the lines for next one, or if Keefe kind of sticks with something similar to what we saw tonight. We will see. But, for everyone burying Marky, I don't think any goalie in there would have won this game tonight. Could it have been closer? Maybe. Again, I'm not going to defend Marky. It was a terrible game for him, but it was also a terrible game for the team. I think we lose that game no matter who we had in net, if I'm being honest. It could have been closer, but it was a bad game all around. That is a true team loss, in my opinion. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I have to get out there before I get to these comments, which I'm expecting to be ugly. Oh, the biggest disappointment of the entire game for me, you guys know I am Mr. Heavier, edgier, more violent. The fact that I understand, Nemo gave Kuch the little bump at the end there, and Kucherov went down, fine. But then their goon, Douglas, comes flying over and punches Nemo in the face, and nobody does shit. I mean, there was one of those fake wrestling scrums. But in a situation like that where you pop Nemo, I'm looking for someone to get suspended there. I'm looking for someone to just go for the jugular, latch onto his throat, tackle him on the ice, and just don't stop punching until the ref pulls you off. I expected a much bigger response there. I am disappointed in what we saw after that. I mean, you punch Nemo, dude, come on. You got to leave on a stretcher. I want to see whatever it takes to respond in that moment. And it was a very kind of weak response, in my opinion. I would think there should be much more done there. That was just not enough for me. I want to see way more. You punch Nemo, that's officially a declaration of war, and someone should have left on a stretcher for sure. But now I'm going to reluctantly get into the comments here. I'm fully expecting them to be Doomer City. Zach, some of us are win or lose we booze. Others are win or lose we doom. It's so true, Zach. There's some people here that are just, we already know the Doomer crowd, right? Their MO is to puff out their chest and how right I am and this team sucks. This is one game. I don't live my life like that. I mean, if this team was in the basement of the standings and we saw this game, then maybe dooming would be justified. Look where we are in the standings. Again, who would not have signed up for this record at this juncture, even at full health? Never mind knowing all the injuries that we've had. I am slightly concerned, going forward, just because, Jack Hughes is such an integral part of this team, and the team did find a way to manufacture that first win without him in the lineup in Washington, but they're not all going to go that way. And I've said that before, sometimes it requires an element of luck to grind out these types of ugly, low-scoring affair wins in some of the games they're winning. But tonight, they just didn't have a chance. Steven, what's going on? Markstrom doesn't even move when someone takes a shot from the slot. I mean, again, I'm not going to defend him. Bad game for him. I am hoping he gets back to the guy we saw in LA. I mean, that was a primetime performance by Marky in LA. It gave me hope. He stole the 2 points for us there, but we've seen some shaky outings since. But wow, this is a terrible game. Completely terrible game. Ariel, listen, bad game, but no dooming. This team isn't the same as last year. I'm feeling the next few games, but let's take the good out of it. If we got returning bodies, which is good considering no Jay Hughes. Yeah, I'm hoping that we see some. I don't know. There's a lot of different ways you could go with the lines, in my opinion. And I will be curious to see what the combinations are for the next game. But it's, you're dealing with several guys injected into the lineup that are probably a little rusty. It didn't help matters, but we were just outplayed tonight. And again, I don't think they were outplayed as badly as the score indicates, but you got to get a big save here and there, and you got to capitalize on some more chances. Vasilevsky's a very good goalie, and he showed it tonight. Isaiah says we need the Brat or Meyer to bring it up. Everyone's got to step up. Steven says Meyer was invisible tonight. A lot of guys were. D-Lish, Markstrom was a monster last season, but it's been rough this time. I think he can get back to it soon. I hope so. I'm not going to lie. I am concerned. You guys know I'm a Marky guy. I love Marky, but we've seen some really shaky outings. And he's accumulated some wins despite some of these outings. But when the team kind of lays an egg and he's a little bit off, it's an ugly combination, and we saw it tonight. 5-1 losses are pretty brutal. How I got to Jeremy Proper. Florida's the test. Give them another practice tomorrow. Maybe they start clicking here in SoFlo. I'm hoping that, the guys that just came back maybe needed this game to kind of get back in the groove. I don't know. But it certainly was an ugly game. There's no sugarcoating it. The good part is it's only one game. Ritter Engine, Marky looks dumb stuck out there. He can't make any meaningful saves. Larry, this game proves the Devils need help at the center position while Jack is on the shelf. Fitz, get off your lazy ass and get it done. Well, I agree. I thought we needed a center clearly way before Jack got hurt, as most of you did. But I do think Jack going down should have certainly expedited the search, because with Glass out, and they say he's week to week. I mean, hopefully he comes back sooner than later. But even with Glass back, you could still use another center. And obviously Jack being out for 8 weeks. And hopefully it's only 8 weeks, right? They said he's going to be reevaluated at 6 weeks. I really hope we don't get into one of these situations where at some point in maybe December or so, or maybe even in January, they come out and they're like, oh, it's worse than we thought, or blah, blah, blah. And then it ends up being more than 8 weeks. That's obviously a possibility. And the longer we go without Jack Hughes, obviously, the worse condition we're in. I mean, Jack Hughes is obviously the biggest piece of this team. And we've seen in other years when he goes down the struggles, but everyone's got to step up. But tonight certainly was ugly. Dubs is like, it's fine. It sucks, but it's fine. Marky was bad. The team looked out of sync with 3 big names coming off IR. Just watch the film. Regroup and come back hard against the Cats. Marky has to be better. Jared, difficult night, but you can't win them all, especially a lot of guys just coming back tonight missing Jack. I do think it's looking like Jake Allen is our 1A goalie this year. That's a rough one, too. I do think, for whatever reason, and again, this comes down to, the sports science and the analytics and all these, advanced stat guys. I do think they are trying to keep Allen's starts to a certain number. I don't know exactly what that is. Maybe it's, 40, maybe it's 42. I don't know what it is. But in the world of all of this stuff, they don't want goalies playing a ton of games. And I think history will show that Allen is a better goalie with that 1B workload. With that being said, as much as I love Marky, I told you guys after the last game that I wanted to see Jake Allen start tonight. And I'm always a fan of riding the hot hand in net, even, no matter who it is. And Jake Allen thus far on the season has undeniably been the better goalie of the two. I mean, there's just the numbers are alarming, obviously. Now, do I think, especially since we're so fresh into the season, I mean, I guess we're fresh, not that fresh. We're approaching we'll be at the 20. Well, we're at like the 20% mark, which is actually so crazy. It seemed like just yesterday it was training camp, but with the body of work we've seen, the numbers speak for themselves, and you'd be lying if you did not say that in Jake Allen's starts, you just feel more secure. Marky has been a little bit of a roller coaster thrill ride on the season. When he's on, he's money, and we saw it in LA, and that's what gives me hope that it's not lost, that Marky, maybe it's something physical ailing him, maybe it's a little mental, maybe it's a little bit of both, but I'd like to believe he's still capable of playing at a high level like we saw in LA and doing it consistently. That's the big question mark. Can he do it consistently? I do think no matter what, you will see these kind of throwback, turn back the clock games where he stands on his head, makes crazy saves, and you're like, there's the Marky we know and love. But can he string games together at that level? I don't know. And I'm hoping it's still just something lingering. And if he is still injured, then they have to shelf him and bring up Dawes and let Marky properly heal. This is all just speculation, but we will see going forward. We need a healthy Marky, and we need a Marky that can manufacture wins. And we saw it in LA, but tonight was certainly discouraging. Husky, I remember saying how encouraging it was that we're playing like a team. Currently eating my words. Constantine, 1 regulation win in the last 11 games. I mean, this is where we kind of get ridiculous here. I mean, come on. What, the overtime and shootout wins count less? Last I checked, they still count for 2 points, Constantine. Let's not be crazy here. Mario Meyer hasn't done much these last few games. Okay, I mean, who has, though? Outside of Simon Nemec, the past few games, I mean, shit, who else even scored a goal in the past few games besides Nico tonight? Nemo had Nemo. Yeah, there's been a couple guys that scored goals in the past, week. Steven team couldn't handle the speed of Tampa. Knowles, what happened tonight? Luke was a hot mess. Dylan looked beat up. Vasilevsky was a wall. It was a bad game all around. A complete horrible game all around. Ariel says, I'm at least grateful no shutout. Yeah, that's great. But Ryan, so are you people this whiny in real life or just online? Bunch of computer nerds thinking they know how to play hockey. Oh, boy. Coming in hot there, huh? People just like to whine, and it's one game. And like I said, I would understand it more if the team was in the basement of the standings and we saw this game tonight. But the reality is this team has been good all season long. And so one crap performance is not going to make me say all of the nonsense everyone's saying. Now, again, I am slightly concerned for Marky. I hope he does get it together and we're not witnessing kind of the downward trajectory of his career. And the numbers would suggest that that is what's happening, given his age and the injuries and all of that, and the numbers being what they are. But I'm holding out hope that he could get it back. Zach says we can literally still go 3-1-1 on this trip, which is what I was hoping for, not giving into the doomer mindset. Good for you, Zach. Cheers to you, Zach. Common sense and logic. 3-1-1 was my prediction for those of you that saw the video I put out before the 5-game road trip. I said going 3-1-1 and getting 7 points on this 5-game road trip would be absolutely phenomenal. And that's still very much on the table. The Devils are now 2-1 in the first 3 games of the road trip. If they could win one of the next 2 and lose one of the next 2 in overtime or the shootout, that would give them 7 out of 10 points. And given the injuries, and now with the Jack Hughes injury especially, that would be a monstrous, monstrous victory for this team. It really would. Joseph, how you doing? Says you can't win them all. We'll bounce back Thursday. I certainly hope so. Jeremy Proper, hey, no injuries. That's a plus. That certainly is. Or again, now I say when we talk about these things, I'd say on the surface, there's no injuries. We've seen multiple injuries that we did not know about until after the game. And so while it looks like there was no injuries, I hope we don't get any reports, tomorrow or the following day that someone was banged up in this one. We did have that scare. I forgot to mention that. Brendan Dillon temporarily left the game at some point before returning. Obviously, Dilly would be a huge loss, and maybe he's still a little banged up and playing through it. I don't know. Michael, yeah, I'm glad I'm coming to the home rematch against Tampa in December, hoping they take it back for me. The Devils have been very, very good on home ice, and that needs to continue down the stretch of the season. Protect the Rock. Protect the Rock. How I got it, Jeremy Proper says, how is that not a 2-5-10 at the end on Nemec? Retaliation to a T. I wanted to see a suspension from one of the Devils. Take a suspension and really take care of business. But, it just seems like the team was just dejected. And they're like, oh, you popped Nemo. We're going to, hug you to death. Cooch is a flopper. Yeah, he certainly sold that. He went down like a ton of bricks. Stickfix says, I'll start with the nonsense, a.k.a. the truth. For the 5th regulation loss, 5 goals against by Tampa, a bunch of geezers passed their prime. Like, just like the Devils I've seen tonight. Sell them all while you can. Oh, boy. Good luck with your math homework, Tasha. NJ Devils blood, it's a loss, not the first or last of the season. Move on to the next game. Put the focus forward. Glad to see there's some people not completely dooming. Ben, will Markstrom reach the coveted 4.0 goals against average? We need Brett back in the snake in net. Oh, Brett. Yeah, Pesci, obviously a huge loss that we're still dealing with. Who knows how long he's going to be out for? It could be another month or so, maybe even 5 weeks. He will certainly be a nice addition to have back whenever that happens. But in the meantime, this group has to figure it out and win some friggin' games. Robert, Ace, you see the post-game interview? Sheldon said special teams and goaltending let us down and walked away. Nailed it. Come on, Marky. How about a big save 0-0 instead of down 4-1? I can't blame Marky for the loss. He definitely contributed to the loss. But let's be real. We scored 1 goal tonight. Like, unless whoever was a net pitched a shutout, at best case, well, he gives up 1 goal and we go to overtime. I mean, with the chances they had, I don't know. I just can't. It's hard for me. If I thought a goalie is the reason for a loss, I'd certainly say it. In this one, I'm going to say I can't blame it on Markstrom. He certainly wasn't the solution. He was just part of the problem like everybody else. This, I think, was a true team loss. Kaylee, a lot of players were invisible tonight. We are not going to win many games scoring 1 goal. Completely agree. One goal for is going to result in a loss 99.8% of the time. There's not many 1-0 hockey games in the NHL in 2025. Get 2. Like I said, especially when the Jack injury happened, embrace the low scoring affairs. You got to grind out 2-1 games, maybe 3-2, but getting lit up like we did tonight, it's going to be hard to win games when you're giving up that many goals. Suk says Nemec with 3 shots. At least he tried tonight. Knowles, what were the final shot on goal numbers? 32 for the Devils, 29 for the Lightning. Frank says the Marky apologists are sure to be entertaining tonight, probably much more so than the actual game itself. I don't know that anyone's going to, make apologies for him. The only thing I'm going to say is that the whole team sucked. You can't blame the goalie in a game like this. Larry, you went right past the first goal, the big assist from Mercer. Yeah. I mean, what are you going to do? Gensel breakaway, and it is what it is. NJDRX89, a team has an off night. Yeah. Well, you're going to see a lot of people overreacting here. Welcome, NJDRX. Games like tonight could get it's actually not as bad as I anticipated, but I'm still a few minutes behind here. Ariel, teams have ugly games. Happens next game. Mario, the first time since the beginning of the season, the Devils have been dethroned as division leaders. Yeah, the Carolina Hurricanes are hot. Despite their injuries, they're trucking along, and that's what good teams have to do, and the Devils have been doing it thus far on the season. Let's be real. This team is still in a very good spot, all things considered. Roman, standings are saving us. I'm not optimistic with this lineup, but can't be mad at the standings. It's pretty ideal. Exactly. You got to just look at the bigger picture. Look where they are. They've won a lot of games already on the year, and they got to find a way to just kind of tread water for a little bit while we get some more guys back. Glass is going to be a huge one. Obviously, Pesci will be as well, but Glass should be back way before Pesci. Delish, you think any of the team lurk these streams? Probably not, but nothing would surprise me. I mean, everyone's on the internet. But if anyone is, shout out to the boys. Hopefully you do better in is it Sunrise? I think it's Sunrise against the Panthers. Ben should have McSorleyed his ass. I don't know about that. I'm assuming you're talking to the McSorley, the stick chop to the head. I mean, that's a little extreme. But in the situation where Nemo gets popped like that, I don't care what he did before. And let's be real. He gave Kucherov a little shove and he went down. Like the goon totally overreacted. Then you punch Nemo. Like people gotta get hurt. People must get hurt in a spot like that. Stickfix, that is very true. Ace heavier, edgier, more violent has been noticeably reduced, if not near absent, the past few games. Yeah. It really does seem that way, and I think they have to embrace that mindset again. Mario says, y'all are stupid for throwing the whole season away from one loss. Oh, you're going to see the people like that, Mario. By and large, it's not everybody, but you'll see plenty of them. Yeah, nobody on the team lurks here. I don't think so. John Fay, can I say I've never seen a power play so powerless than this season? Probably. Despite that, there's still... Let's see where they are in the season. Better than you'd imagine. Yeah, I don't know if this is updated through tonight, but Devils are, whenever this was last updated, 10th at 23.5%. You know, they were in the top 3 earlier on in the season, but then they obviously hit a little bit of a rough patch. SJ, we don't have a tough guy. Expect guys running or ruining our guys. Yeah, but Cotter was out there. I mean, granted, he's in a different weight class than Douglas is. I think they said he's 6'9", which is just absolutely gargantuan. But you got to do something, man. You got to do something. That was just unacceptable, in my opinion. Zach, to quote Keith, we could have had 2 goalies in net and we still would have lost. Of the 5 goals, Marky should have had at most 2. Who's in net makes 0 difference when you only score 1 goal. Yeah, that's kind of what I said earlier. Like, you know, Marky was just part of the problem. He was not the problem. And in the end, the Devils got some decent chances, but not good enough to beat Vasilevsky. And so you add all that up, and it's an ugly loss tonight. Traveling says, I feel like the D-men should have 3 or 4 hits a night. Yeah, that'd be nice, but Dire Wolf, brutal game from Marky, but Timo and Nico need to step it up with Jack out. Ritter, sorry, but the team will not be fine with Marky starting. Sorry, not sorry. It's not about just this game. The guy's toasty, plays out of position, and can't seem to be dialed in at all. In a lot of the games, I agree. But, you know, the ability is there, at least from time to time. Again, we saw it in Los Angeles. He stole the team got completely outplayed, and Marky stole 2 points for us and the win in LA. Can he do it consistently? That's the real question. I do believe you'll get those games from him here and there, but he needs to do it somewhat regularly to get the starts that he's expecting to get. I fully am on board with riding the hot hand. And after the last game, for those of you that recall, I did say I go right back to Jake Allen. Jake Allen was phenomenal the last game. I would have went right back to him. I don't like this kind of almost every other. I've talked about this in depth in the past. I am an old school guy. I grew up watching the great Martin Brodeur and the NHL in an era where there was starting goalies that were workhorses, whether it was Eddie Belfour, Patrick Waugh, Dominic Hasek. All these guys played a ton. And again, I'm not buying the whole, the game has changed, this and that. Yeah, the game changed. But in the end, some of these guys, I think, can handle higher workloads than they're allowed to play. But you got to ride the hot hand. I think goalies are very rhythmic creatures. A lot of them will tell you that. And they need a few starts in a row to kind of get in their groove. And when someone like Jake Allen's playing well, don't be scared of it. Just embrace it and ride him, maybe 4 out of 5 starts, 5 out of 6, something like that. If he's playing well, keep going. Keep going. But Allen clearly is the better goalie right now. I fully expect him to be starting against the Panthers. And if he wins that, let me pull up the schedule here. I go right back to him. I just don't like this kind of every other kind of situation where it seems like we've fallen into at the moment. Yeah, so we got Panthers Thursday, Flyers Saturday, and then Monday Wings at home, Wednesday Blues. Yeah, I mean, I'm playing Allen 3 of these next 4 easily. However you want to chop it up, I'm going with Allen in 3 of the next 4, I think, assuming he looks decent in his next start. Robert says, I'm not a doomer, Ace. I've been a fan since 83, but Marky's got to sit. No, I mean, I'm riding Allen. Mario says, Ritter is right. I think Allen should be the number 1 goalie. SJ, the power play is so bad without Jack. He carries the puck in so effortlessly, but it's actually hard to do. Yeah. I mean, listen, I do believe the numbers are I forget exactly what they call it, but Jack Hughes is amongst the best in the league in offensive zone entries. The way he just slices through defenders, with his puck handling and skating, it really is a huge element that they miss when he's out of the lineup. But guys got to figure it out. How I got her Jeremy proper is a time to get rid of Rogalski. No, people say this every year, and I put this is not quite as bad, but I feel like it's nearly as bad of a take as the people blaming the conditioning staff for all of the injuries. Like, I don't think you could blame a goaltending coach for a guy struggling like this. Now, I just think it's one of those things in sports where often a coach will get too much credit for a good team or too much kind of venom for a bad team. Obviously, coaching matters, but when we're talking about a positional coach, like, I don't know. It's hard for me to get anywhere near the level of some of you guys looking for blood. And when you talk about Allen being the number one goalie, I mean, I'm sure this is all, going through the coaching staff's mind constantly. Ben, are they trying to justify the Markstrom deal by starting him? He is scary and painful to watch every night. No, I don't think they're trying to justify the contract. I think they're trying to get him back on track. And for whatever reason, it's just kind of not happening. But I don't think they're trying to justify the contract. I just think they're trying to get him close to his optimum levels. And tonight clearly wasn't it. Travelin says Allen is the number one goalie. Devils need to realize that. Alex, I think the reason people freak out is that even though our record is good, it's that they don't want the team to go into a downward spiral. Yeah, I don't want them to go into a downward spiral either. But don't declare the world ending until it happens. I don't want them to go into a downward spiral either, but wait till that happens to start talking like it's happening. This is one game. How will they respond? I'm expecting a pretty solid response Thursday night in Florida. But to preemptively start dooming because you think the team might go on a downward spiral is nuts. Jace, no, I just don't get why Fitz had to rush to pay Marky. I mean, this is going to be the question that everyone's going to keep talking about. It was sort of odd or interesting timing when the extension was announced, right? I mean, I think that's pretty fair to say. Coming off the injury with a small sample size of games with pretty bad numbers, I don't know. I hypothesized previously that maybe the pending negotiations were kind of looming or in his head and maybe affecting him a little bit. And maybe the team thought that as well. And they thought maybe if we get this done now, it'll be kind of off his mind and he'll step up a little bit. Who knows? We're never going to know. But no matter how you slice it, obviously it was a little bit of a peculiar timing for an extension. And the people that are Marky doomers, which there's plenty of them regardless, before the deal, they're just going to keep repeating that narrative as the season goes on. And so I hope Marky shuts them up sooner than later. But as of right now, these people are somewhat justified in the complaints about the timing of the deal because the numbers are what they are. But I'm hoping he turns it around. Mario says Marky is too inconsistent. Some nights he'll be a brick wall, and others he can't save a beach ball. Nick, this absolutely is a team loss, but let's stop acting like Marky isn't a problem. Stats don't lie. He's constantly giving up 4 or 5 goals a night. That's BS. Stop making excuses for him. I'm not making excuses, Nick. Are you deaf? But we didn't lose the game because of him. He was part of the problem. Many problems. We weren't winning with anyone in net. But yeah, his play has been problematic for sure. Jared, I agree that it was a team loss, but I do believe Jake has been the better goalie this season. Yeah, I don't think anyone's going to debate you on that. Robbie's bench toss, 1-1 without Jack. Marky had a bad game. Again, the sky is falling. Doomers. Yeah, I'm kind of, immune to the dooming now. It does suck, and every time there's a game like this, I'm like, oh, here we go. I'm going to have to sit out here and just kind of deal with the nonsense. It comes with the territory. But again, I always say zoom out a little bit and look at the overall picture. And now let's see, the standings updated. The Devils are second in the conference and second in the division because Carolina is numero uno, the new top dog. But, okay, we're in second place. Oh, my God. Hit the panic button. What will we do? A lot of dooming in the comments. Frank, can this comment section ever reach a point when calling out players who are underperforming doesn't automatically get you labeled as a doomer? Yeah, I don't think that there's a difference between justified criticism and dooming, and I've talked about this before. Talking about a guy that didn't have a good game or making valid points that could be negative is certainly not dooming. When people are like, this team sucks, they're going to miss the playoffs, the season's over, that's dooming. There definitely is a difference. There's certainly a difference. And so for people to say that like anyone who calls out underperformers is labeled as a doomer, that's not happening from me. I mean, justified criticism is justified, but dooming is a different species of complaining. Jason says, I think the Jack injury is going to be way longer than they said. I certainly do not hope so, but it is a fear of mine because, like, especially when you're dealing with such a long-term thing, like, 8 weeks, like, how could you even know that, right? You could have an idea, but, like, 8 weeks could easily be 10, I'd imagine. And then to throw in we'll reevaluate at 6 weeks, I really hope it's close to that 8 weeks, but who knows? I mean, could it go to 10 or 12 weeks? Certainly could. I hope that's not the case because obviously the longer it goes on, the more in trouble this team is. But Suk says, if Keith benches Luke for a game and he comes back playing like an actual NHL defenseman, I'll take back everything I said. If you think Luke Hughes is going to be benched at any point this season, you are delusional. Completely delusional. Alan, Ace, don't you think if we have to just depend on Jack, that says something about this team? You tell me. Well, I mean, any team you take away their best player, they're going to struggle a little bit. Now, the team should still be a good team without Jack, and I believe it will be. We're now 1-1 without Jack, with a bunch of new guys brought back into the fold tonight. Let's see how they look in the next game. But absolutely, you cannot just completely implode when your star player is out. Like, you still have to be competitive, and I think this team will prove to be that. 1-1 without Jack Hughes. Let's see. But yeah, if they completely fold up when Jack's not in the lineup, that's obviously not an encouraging sign. But any team is going to dip a little bit when your top guy's out. That's just unavoidable. NJ Swanfox, refs gave them 1 goal. Merce gave them another. Marky should have stopped 2 of the 5. With Jack out, Peeps got to step up and not make boneheaded mistakes. Completely agree with that. Jonathan Decker, love Nemec shoving Kucherov at the end. He had a good game. It's great to see him playing with some attitude. Yeah, I like that too. Just a little shove, nothing crazy, but the non-reaction after Douglas came over and popped him had my blood boiling. John Fay, I just want to play some good hockey and not get dog walked. If we keep getting slaughtered and outplayed, these people are going to see Jack as the person to carry this team. How I got her, Jeremy Proper. $9 million is not showing for number 43. And again, I feel like I have to talk about this every time. The $9 million deal was signed for future value. And I said, even when the deal was signed, he may not look like a $9 million defenseman this year. The hope is that in 2 or 3 years from now, he looks like a $12 million defenseman. So for people to every mistake he makes to be like, oh, $9 million defenseman, that's also not fair either. This kid is 22 years old, guys, playing big minutes on his offside. Like, yeah, do I wish that some of the mistakes were reduced? Absolutely. But what player doesn't make any mistakes in this entire league? They don't exist. That's how goals happen. Hockey is a game of mistakes and the other team capitalizing on them. Now, not the best game for Luke, but, he's 22 years old. The kid's going to be a stud. You got to take the good with the bad. I don't know what world you people live in where he was going to be like this unbelievable, never make a mistake defenseman. That doesn't exist. That does not exist. Merstube says, what if we win the cup, but every time we lose, it's by 4 or more goals? I don't know what that means, but if we win the cup, I don't care about anything else. So Keep on keeping on. John NJ Devils 45. Hit the likes for your boy Ace. Thanks. Rough one tonight. Just not crisp. Need to see more scrapping from this group. Completely agree. Completely agree. Some of the people on X were brutal tonight, but follow your boy on X. Trying to get a little more involved on there. Sometimes that's ugly too, but it's at running with NJD. Link in the chat. Follow me on X. Thank you for that. And then also follow your boy on Instagram. Definitely getting more involved on there as well. Trying to do some cool stuff. Link in the chat for that too. Follow me on both of those platforms. In addition to, obviously, the YouTube. If you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button. If you are subscribed, hit that little notification bell so that you don't miss a video or a live or anything like that. Hit the notifications. A lot of you don't have them on. I saw a stat the other day, and some people are like, oh, I missed the live. I didn't know, blah, blah, blah. Hit that notification button so you don't miss anything, so that you're here when it's happening. How I Got Her, Jeremy Proper says, no Nico hate. He's playing hurt. Could be. He definitely doesn't seem 100%, but he's also tasked with shutting down stars on the other team every single night as well. I do think last year may have, obviously I'd like to see Nico produce more offensively, but I do think people are expecting like massive, massive production from him. And it's not going to always happen, especially when he's more involved in shutting down the other team's top lines. That's going to come at the cost of some of his own personal offense. You hope that Nico could negate the other team's big guns and that the other guys could score for the Devils and result in some wins. Robert says, NHL should change rules no matter what. The senorita of a player should be sent down. Marky sent down, Dawes up. I don't think that's going to happen. NJ Swamp Fox tonight looked like their California trip. Yeah, it definitely did. I got a little PTSD myself. Larry, both Gritzy and Nemo played a good game tonight. Yeah, Grits is going to be a really good one for us. I'm excited. The future is very bright with him, but let me put on. He's part of that very bright future, but he also has to be part of the bright current. Wrestling guitar face, getting up early so I can't stay up. Just throwing my support to you. Don't let the Doomers get to you. Marky was shaky, but some of those goals are real hard, and the score doesn't reflect the game. Yeah. Bad game all around, in my opinion. Rapid Blue is the new black. Went to the game tonight. $35 tickets for first row center ice upper section. That's a pretty nice deal. It's one game. I was glad to be there and support the team. Good amount of Devils fans there. It's unfortunate that you saw such a crappy performance, but $35 first row center ice, not bad. I saw the Devils play against the Lightning there like forever ago. I want to say it was when it was the St. Pete Times Forum. It may have been like 20 years ago. I think I was in college or right after college. Been wanting to go back. Super, super glad that I didn't go to this one because going to road games and getting stomped is the worst. John, I want us to come out Thursday and steamroll the Panthers. I think so. I think we all do. All right, I'm trying to skip ahead here. Wrestling Guitar Face, the team is still doing great. We just got an influx of good players back. Stinkers are going to happen. Maybe the three guys should have sat today out, but either way, we're looking good so far. Yeah, I'm curious to see if we see anybody, I guess aside from the line combination changes, if we see anybody pulled out of the lineup and someone else injected. I suppose that could be a move they do, but I don't know. I guess we'll learn more the next time they practice. Jason, this lineup doesn't have enough jam in it. I agree with that. I certainly agree with that. Would really like to see definitely some more snarl or, the skilled grit. But that Nemo thing did not sit well with me at all. That really bothered me. Captain THC, yo, Ace, your stream with Stan was a nice stroll down memory lane. It's good to see. Good to see he still has most of his marbles left at 93. Yeah, if you guys missed that, I forgot about that. Thank you for reminding me. I recently did an interview with Stan the Maven Fischler. I just put the link in the chat. For the longtime fans, the Maven was just part of Devils peak fandom. And what a golden era it was. I talk about it with Stan, obviously. Complete thrill. Honor to talk to him. Absolute legend. The interview came out a couple days ago. I put the link in the chat, but check that out if you haven't. Stan is just a wealth of hockey knowledge and one of my favorite hockey people in general. Just nostalgia overload. Complete nostalgia overload talking to Stan. But thank you for that comment, Captain. That was really cool. I'm working on a bunch of stuff, interviews and such going forward. I know a lot of you like the interviews, and that's honestly my favorite part of this whole thing is talking to guys, especially guys from, the golden era of New Jersey Devils hockey. But link in chat, check that out. Always amazing to talk to Stan Fischler. Presify says Allen needs to start over Markstrom now. Markstrom just does not have it. Okay. Brian J. Only game Marky has played good was against the Kings. That was obviously his best game. And hopefully we see more starts like that. I do think he's capable of those games. It's just, can he do it consistently? Like, it can't be once every month. It's got to be like, we need that Marky regularly. And I'm hoping it could happen. I'm hoping this is all just injury related, honestly. But I don't know. Time will tell. John Fay, I think Pesci's return table is somewhere in December. Yeah, that's what it seems like. Julie, people do not realize the franchise is absolutely spoiled with Marty. They don't make them like him anymore. Spoiled in so many ways, Julie. I mean, just the durability alone. Guy played forever, and he demanded the net. 75 starts, 76 starts, 77 starts. The guy played 70-plus games tons of times, back-to-backs. It just wanted to be in there every game to give his team a chance to win. And it was an absolute treat. He was the best to ever do it. The durability, the big-time saves, the unparalleled puck handling, just everything about it. They put a friggin' trapezoid behind the net to negate his puck handling skill. How many guys can you say in NHL history, or really in the history of any sport, how many guys caused a league to make a rule or whatever you want to call it, a change to the playing surface? It wasn't even a rule. It was a rule in conjunction with a change to the actual ice to try to cut down and limit his ability of handling the puck. A true third defenseman out there, and all the guys that ever played with him talk about how good he was at handling the puck and just making teams not be able to dump it in. Because if you dumped it in, Marty was just going to pluck that thing and make a pass and get the puck going the other way. What an era. What an era of Devils hockey. Robert says, when playoffs come, a 1-1 tie in the third game one with Marky and Ed, are you confident? Well, it all depends on, he was pretty damn good in the playoffs last year, in my opinion. It all depends. If we're talking about if the playoffs were technically tomorrow, absolutely not. I'd be petrified. But hopefully we see him improve and get back to consistent NHL caliber goaltending very soon. Tube tied for second best record in the NHL. Can't win every game. Suck it, Doomers. Jason, I think we're lacking on the heavier side this year. No, for sure. And that's always the type of guys I want to be brought in, obviously. You guys know when Fitz said heavier, edgier, more violent, and he did it to some extent. But it just still was not enough. I just feel like we still need another piece or two of grittiness. And I thought LeChance could bring that. Obviously, LeChance out of the lineup tonight. He's a guy that I think in the future will bring some of that. But we need a guy who's going to be around now. And McEwen brings it too. Another loss we always forget about. McEwen, I thought, was a great fourth liner in the few games he's played. And then obviously he got re-injured, which really sucked. But I'm hoping he is a long-term fourth line piece for this team. Can skate, flies around, gets in on the forecheck, smashes guys. Like his energy. I like McEwen a lot. And you're missing guys like him now too. Robert, I love this team, but we ain't winning 3 or 4 rounds with a 35-year-old goalie. I have all the faith in the world in Jake right now. In Jake Allen, I really do. Antonino needs to play Dougie on power play 1. I completely agree with that too. Maybe because he was out, they didn't want to thrust him right into that. But I'm hoping he's out there for power play 1 in the next game. I always thought, I've said this a million times, but my ideal power play when we were healthy was the core 4 plus Dougie. Now I would say it's the remaining 3 of the core 4. Nico, Brodeur, Timo, and then the 4th could be Grits or Dawson. Maybe you give another guy a look with Dougie on the back end, I think is our best power play chance right now. The 8-game winning streak helped a ton of these stats are pulling up. The team is far removed from that now. Uncharted territory ahead. How dumb are you? I mean, we've only played 19 games and we had an 8-game winning streak. That's a huge percentage of the season. So you're like, oh yeah, take away the 8-game winning streak, and then you're trying to dissect it to fit your narrative. It's completely ridiculous. Completely ridiculous. I just don't even know where you people come up with some of this stuff. Mario, Alex, the Devils need another big guy like Dylan on this team. And again, on the back end, Kovacevic is going to bring some of that heavier, edgier, more violent when he returns too. But that's probably not going to be until January. I'd like some guys like that in the forward group. But to have Kovacevic and Dylan on the back end with that nastiness, I like that. Jason, we need a dog on this team. I agree. Jason says, I know Kadri's older, but I love him here. I'm kind of on the fence about a guy like him. Just because I don't think he makes a good amount of money and there's a lot of years left. Like if that one, it is a win now move, but if it doesn't pan out, the people are going to be freaking out worse than Palat. But in a vacuum, I do like it. I just don't know with that many years left at that money if it's worth it. Now, I'm all about Ryan O'Reilly. He signed obviously for this year and next year at $4.5 million. I think he would be, for me, like my number 1 want that I think is realistic. Obviously, there's some other names that I'd rather have, but because of their contract situation or what it would take to get them here, I'm putting O'Reilly as like my number 1 most realistic want because I think he would fit the team really well. I think we wouldn't have to give up a crazy package to get him, and I think the money's right. And so for me, that's kind of my target player that a lot of people have been talking about. I'd love Kadri on this team. I just don't know that I would want to assume that risk. I mean, let me see. I think he's got – yeah, he's in year 4. So you're talking about – oh, God. Yeah, so you're talking about the rest of this season, 25, 26, and you got 26, 27, 27, 28, and 28, 29. So you're talking about 4 years at $7 million and he's 35 right now. Like if that one doesn't pan out, that's going to hurt. Maybe it's a chance you take. That's a big gamble, but it could pay off. It could pay off. I just personally would probably rather go the O'Reilly route, but who knows? Snow Devil says, really would have wanted someone to stand up for Nemo. I'm disappointed. Yeah, it was a little hug fest at the end. Benjamin, we don't have an enforcer. Back in the day, we had like 5, and 5 more no one would F with. Trevor, they seem to be flat every time Marky is in net. Not every time, but it is interesting how over the years, when you look at, when there's 2 goalies where one always seems to get more like goal support, it does seem like, and I don't know that I could, I don't know. It could be a fluke. It could be something with Marky. I don't really know, but it does seem like in a lot of Marky starts, the team just looks bad. All right, I fell way behind. I'm sorry, guys. I've been talking too much here. Travis, I wish Luke had a mean bone in him. All right, I gotta skip ahead here. Robert says, Ace, your best friend Isles fan must be stoked Isles just beat Dallas. I'm sure he is. Smash the like button. Thank you. Thank you. Jonathan G, the Ranger fan, says, dooming on 13-5-1 is, yeah, I mean, The Kane, guys, you need to remember that Luke is being overshifted because of the defensive injuries. And a very good point. Because this team is decimated, Luke is being thrust into a bigger role than ideal. How many minutes did he play tonight? Let's see. Yeah, 24 minutes. I mean, lighter than some of the most recent games. But I'm not worried about Luke. He's 22 years old. Yeah, collect records. Luke's having a tough go of it, but the level of hate is out of control. And again, it just boils down to guys that sign big contracts get targeted. And the whole theatrical kind of event that was the contract with him, like, oh, Fitz, my number one priority. Then it went on for months. It's all people talked about. So that doesn't do him any favors. I think it makes the bullseye or the target on his back even bigger. But I'm not remotely concerned. Some of these comments are brutal. D-Lish, what would it take to get Ace an interview with Brodeur? Would love to see you guys talk shop here. I think it'll eventually happen. I have some grand plans for that. Eventually, I have faith it'll happen. And it will be exquisite. Absolutely exquisite. Mario, I say Devils in 7. I just want to be fun. I don't know what that's in reference to. Woodson, if I'm Nemec and I don't get the same $9 million that Luke got, I'm saying see you later, Devils. Yeah, obviously a future problem, but I am a bit concerned on what, how those contract negotiations are going to go. I'd imagine he's going to be looking for, I could see it being, 8+ easily. I mean, I think a lot of it depends on obviously how his season ends and what his stats are. But if he continues on anywhere near how he's been playing, it's going to be expensive. It's going to be expensive. Nemec better demand his bag. Scrolling ahead here, trying to. Trevor said our power play was trash tonight. Yep, it definitely was. Matt, how many players are hurt right now? 9? That's wild. A ton. Tons of players still shelved, but none bigger than 86. Ryan, I genuinely don't understand why we aren't riding Allen. Guys on fire and Markstrom confidence is clearly shaken. It boils down to they're trying to keep Allen at whatever level of games played that they feel good about. And, sports science, the sports medicine people, I think they're all looking at, trying to keep him to that probably 40, 45 games max and kind of trying to figure out into the future leading up into the playoffs how to best manage that workload. But I'm certainly riding the hot hand. Robert, you ever go to MSG pre-94 in Devils jersey days and get beer and food thrown at you if the Devils won dangerous times? I've heard a lot of stories. I've only seen the Devils play the Rangers there a couple times. I would like to go to more. But, it is interesting. I would have thought years ago I would have went more, but, I don't know. It's probably because I hate New York City. It's just such a hassle. But maybe I go this year for the first time in a while. Devils only play them 3 times, obviously, due to whatever ridiculousness the schedule makers are on. But we play them 3 times, once at the Rock, 2 at the Garden. Maybe I'll make an appearance at the Garden. Jason, the Nemo thing pissed me off the most. I want to see retribution. You can't let teams get away with stuff like that. I agree. Woods and our top guys have no snarl. It's why we will never come close to sniffing the cup with this core. I disagree with that. But I would like to see a way more snarl, obviously. D-Lish, do you guys ever think as deep into it as wondering if Luke is uncomfortable with the team without Jack there, like on a personal level, and so he plays poorly? I mean, if that's the case, that'd be ridiculous. I can't see that being the case whatsoever. I think that's so ridiculous. I can never even imagine something like that. But if that is the case, then that's the biggest problem I've ever heard of with a professional athlete. I cannot see that being the case. Didn't Markstrom have a 40 save win this season? I think the LA game was around that. He was very good in that game. We need to see that Marky again. Yeah, Mario, for sure. Suk, I say you ride Allen until his legs fall off. One-legged Allen, I bet, still finishes with better numbers than the other dude. I don't know about that. Michael, can we get Allen for multiple games in a row, please? I am completely on board with that. Ride the hot hand. I would have started him tonight, but what do I know? But I would have started him tonight. And maybe it's better that we didn't, because he probably still would have lost the game. And maybe it's better that, I don't know. You could kind of make both arguments, but the team was certainly not good enough to win tonight in front of Marky, and it wouldn't have been good enough to win in front of Allen either. Larry, their second goal, Dylan loses a board battle. Luke slightly bad positioning, gets slew-footed, and Nico is late covering the middle. All the hatred here on Luke, sure. Yeah, $9 million. $9 million a year is going to get you that target on your back, and you're seeing it play out in real time here. How I got a Jeremy Proper. Marty was a third defenseman out there, handles the puck better than Dano. Man, why has Dano got to catch a stray? But no, Dano's always said that Marty, playing with Marty prolonged his career because Marty really was that good. He just was another level. John Fay, Marty handled the puck like he wasn't even a goalie. Sometimes that's how good he was. Yeah, for sure. He can make crazy passes. Obviously, we saw him shoot into the empty net in that great playoff game against Montreal. Jordan, this is the toughest league and the toughest sport in the world. We're going to take some L's, guys. Come on. Oh, wait, Jordan, you mean we can't win every game? Some of these people seem to think, that you're going to win every game. Obviously, that's not reality, and bad games are going to happen. Tonight was one of them. Obviously, you hope that the team is more competitive in the losses, and tonight wasn't that competitive. But, got to respond against the Panthers. That's it. Noel says Kovacevic has been out so long, I forgot he exists. Yeah, it's crazy, right? Mario says Devils will still have a winning record without that 8-game win streak. Haha, Akira Schmidt is 7-1-2 with Vegas. Blackwood and Wedgwood are going for the cup with Colorado, and we were stuck with Marky. I don't get it. Listen, guys, you know how I felt about Akira Schmidt and how I still feel about him. Franchise legend on this channel for eternity. To come in and do what he did in that 22-23 playoffs against the Rangers, we were down 0-2, going to the Garden, Rangers fans talking all kinds of smack. We're bringing the brooms out. And then Akira just goes out there and does the damn thing, wins both the Garden, comes back, we win game 5, and then we win in 7. He has a shutout. I would have liked to see the team give him a longer look. I did feel like the year after he was kind of jerked, up and down so many times. I think it ultimately led to a somewhat contentious relationship with the organization, and then they figured it was best to move on from him. It's really unfortunate how it all ended. And obviously, it would be nice to still have him. And Blackwood, I thought Blackwood was the guy of the future as well. Many people did. There was nights where he looked phenomenal, and then there was nights that you're like, damn, what happened? He can never put it together. All the injuries, a lot of things happened with Blackwood, and I think the team just thought it was best to move on from him. But I was convinced that he was the guy for a while. And then he played pretty solid in some less than stellar, or quite frankly, kind of bad Sharks teams. But when he got dealt to the Avalanche, I said that day, I'm like, this guy's going to win a cup in Colorado, and I stand by that. I don't know when, but I do believe Blackwood hoists a cup as a member of the Avalanche. I think he's definitely good enough with that team to win a cup. They're built to contend for quite a while. I think they eventually get one. I really do. Jordan says, what about Crosby if he still only wanted 8.7? I can't get into these hypothetical lunacy moments, but I would love Crosby, obviously. I mean, the guy's a freaking gamer, still just getting it done at such a high level in his advanced age. All-time great of the sport. I mean, who wouldn't love to see Crosby play for the Devils? I mean, my God. Larry says, sorry, but Kovacevic only sees the ice as a Devil if Dougie is the one traded. Nemo over Covey. I don't know. If you've paid attention and have read between the lines, the team has been very firm that Kovacevic is a part of this team. And my only fear is that because of the cap crunch and because of the abundance of defensemen when healthy, I really hope they don't trade Dougie before the trade deadline, but I could see it happening, or at the trade deadline. I really would want Dougie for the playoffs, but I could totally see it happening. Michael, give Ace a like. Thanks. Thank you. Traveling said I'd be on life support if it went to Game 7. Jason, no, Kadri's got that dog on bone mentality. O'Reilly isn't really a physical player. No, Kadri's obviously much nastier, but many more years on the deal at $7 million. And if you miss, that's because that's only if they do make a move like that, they're only going to have one of them. And if they use the one bullet on that and it does not work, that's rough. Official, is it Sergio? Do we go out for a center now while we panic? I mean, they should have been looking for a center even before. Alan says, what makes 90% of the people in this chat think Luke should be Bobby Orr already? I'll tell you, Alan. There's one answer. It's the $9 million. That's it. Once he signed that, these people were expecting just nothing but A-plus veteran level, defense on a nightly basis, no mistakes, tons of points. That's what everybody was expecting. And by everyone, I mean, the people that don't know any better. Time to make out on number 1. Dun, dun, dun. Husky says, Matt and Brady dropped their first episode of the Wingman podcast. Yeah, I saw some of it. I think it's awesome. I think it's about time hockey had, I guess for lack of a better term, like something a little bit more mainstream. The fact that I think they're both wildly entertaining. They're both very good players and they're Americans leading up to the Olympics. I think this is a very good marketing kind of initiative for the league at large. But I watched a good amount of the podcast. I think I fell asleep watching it the other night, late at night. And I thought it was great to hear them kind of banter back and forth and talk about the 4 nations and the fight and all that stuff. Great stuff. NJ Swamp Fox, Luke often looks sleepy out there. His wheels are fast, but you have to wonder about the ones in his head. I mean, Devils Holic Rangers Devils games at MSG is probably going to be cheaper than usual because of the Rangers' atrocious record at home. Probably not. A lot of corporate money out there. A lot of people. Knowles, hey, Ace, if you do a Rags game at MSG, let us know what day so we can at least have a decent showing to help outnumber the booing. Jason, no, I love Timo, but we need him to go off now. We need everyone to go off. John Woodson, the Scrit-type players are a dying player in the modern NHL. Not many available, and every team wants them. Yeah, I'm surprised that there's not more younger. Like, you would think that some of these kids playing would realize, or their coaches or whoever would realize, like, there is a demand for that type of player and, like, morph yourself into more of that type of player. It is strange. Like, they shouldn't be this much of an endangered species, but here we are talking about it, and they really are. They're not extinct, but they're damn close. They are a dying breed, definitely an endangered species. Suk says, maybe play Timo on the right side. These coaches never learn. Got to be the NJ Water. Woodson says, Cotter and Nason have underperformed this year. Completely agree. Cotter, I think he hasn't really had consistent line mates. Not to make excuses for him. He's had some chances, and he did bury that one on the doorstep. I think, was that the Wild game? I forget, where he finally got one. He was like parked out in front, and he slammed one home. He looked so happy after that. He had some chances tonight too. He's had several good chances throughout the year where he just seems a little snake bitten. But he's also played with probably the most different, or he probably has played on the most number of different line combinations of anyone else on the team, I think. But yeah, I mean, ideally, you'd like to see him get going too and at least contribute here and there. Nason didn't play for 6 months, and he's been back for a couple weeks. Hopefully, he kind of gets back into the groove sooner than later as well. But for sure, they've underperformed. Jason says, unfortunately, we only have one playoff series to show. If we don't make a deep run this year, there needs to be serious changes. I hope that's not the case. I think this team is, assuming we get close to full health for the playoffs, I do think they make some noise. I just think the team is too good. But a first-round ouster would certainly be catastrophic. Completely catastrophic. World's Worst Gamer says, so Allen starts next game and we ride him until he loses. That's what I would do. I don't think they're ever going to do that, but ride the hot hand. Jordan says, dreams come true. Oh, yeah, talking about Crosby. Yeah, I think he's going to stay in Pittsburgh no matter what. I think he's going to retire a Pen. Only one jersey guy. Only wore a Penguins jersey his whole career, and you have to give him credit for that. And that was when it looked like the Penguins were going to suck, like, for the rest of his career. And here we are now. The Penguins are trying to make the playoffs, holding down that third spot in the Metro. They're only 3 points behind the Devils. It is crazy. And the Lightning are in the first, or sorry, the Islanders are in the first wild card with 24. Yeah, the Metro is going to end up being tight. It's crazy. Wow. Yeah, everybody pretty bunched in there. A lot of teams in the mix. Husky, it's hard to get any chemistry with all these players coming in out of the lineup. Unfortunately, we've been dealing with this for years now. Yeah. I mean, what's the longest we've seen a line stay together? It's just like every game, it's a new rotisserie of, what are the lines going to be tonight? I would like to see them get to the point where we see the same lines, at least for a few games in a row, get them producing and see if we could get some chemistry going forward. But it seems like, every night we're getting something new, and it's because of the injuries. Jason, you need big shutdown D-men during the playoffs? Absolutely, and I think that's where Kovacevic is going to be a big addition. World's Worst Gamer, we're guaranteeing playoffs now, and we have lost our best player for 2 or 3 months. Yeah, I don't see how they missed the playoffs. Obviously, anything could happen, but, I mean, it's ridiculous to think that they're just going to completely fall off a cliff because we lost one game to the Lightning. Justin Smith, right now it's Vegas 2, Rangers nothing, midway through the second period. Akira Schmidt is in goal for Vegas. Michael G., where can I buy merch? What kind of merch? Once you sign a $9 million contract, you rightfully deserve to be criticized for poor play. I don't know why that's so difficult to understand. Because the $9 million, it's for the long-term value of the deal. You have to realize that there was a good chance he was not going to look like a $9 million defenseman this year. but I think that's beyond your comprehension. Woods, just admitted all the people asking to give Luke a bridge deal was right. At game 16 into the season, or whatever game, what game is it? Game 19? You're calling it a bad deal? I mean, this is crazy. Husky says with our injury history, there won't be any problem fitting Kovacevic into the lineup. The sad reality. Yeah. Traveling, exactly. 19 games into a 574-game contract, and it's bad already. I mean, it's crazy. David, by extending Marky early means that Fitz will be less likely to admit his mistake. Yes, Marky can bounce back, but if he doesn't, don't count on Fitz making adjustments in season now. I mean, do you mean adjustments to the team at all, or something specific with goaltending? I'm curious. Collect records is a very good point here. Says, criticizing the kid when he deserves it and commenting how much you hate him 2,000 times per show are a little different. Completely agree. Like, to just keep harping on it and dwelling in it, like, bro, it'll be okay. It will be okay. Jack says, Nason is the first one out the door if money needs to be freed up. I don't know about that. What's he making? Like $4 million? I like Nace. 2.75. I mean, that's not freeing up a ton of money. Snow Devil, I watched like a Chuck podcast. Really cool. They're doing it. If the Hughes brothers made a podcast, it would be Jack talking about girls and Ninja Turtles. What? Mario, Alex, this team somehow stays healthy and both goalies play well, then I could see the conference finals happening. Eastern Conference Finals are bust. I declared it in the summer, and I'm sticking to it. David Ace, do you know when Glass is expected to return? Do you think Boozeface should add a center early, if at all possible, to plug our hole there? They said week to week, so hopefully, in the next week or two, hopefully. But no, I think we should get a center immediately, obviously. I wanted a center before Jack went down. And now that Jack is down, we definitely could use a center. Jason, couldn't they make up a better story for Jack, like say he was mugged in an alley or something? I mean, the whole story is very bizarre, obviously, and then we heard different kind of versions of the story. It seemed like everyone thought it was like related to a steak knife in the beginning, and then it went to he leaned on a glass, and then then it was he slipped or the story that some were reporting he slipped and cut himself on broken glass that was on the floor. I mean, in the end, obviously I would like to know what really happened, but like, it doesn't even matter. He's out for roughly 8 weeks and it sucks. This team has to figure out how to win games without him. But it is interesting that, there's all this kind of mystery surrounding it. Jason, how embarrassing to tell the story. I don't know how to drink out of a glass. They said he slipped and fell. I think people forget what deep playoff teams actually look like and play like when it matters. I hope I'm wrong, but I not see the Devils coming anywhere close to that caliber in their current state, even fully healthy. I disagree. David, should have done the Morton Downey skinhead in bathroom story. What? Jordan, Ace, would you ever be into calling games? I could see Don, Ken, and Ace on. I can't see that. I appreciate that you think that that's remotely realistic, but obviously, I love talking about hockey. I love the Devils. I love the game of hockey. I would certainly entertain any sort of opportunities that came my way, but I just can't see that happening. That'd be awesome if anything like that remotely ever happened, but I'm certainly not counting on it, but I appreciate that you think that would be cool. Jay Snow, something like Jack Hughes saved an old lady from 3 men lost a finger. Yeah, a lady was getting mugged in the park and he fought off the attackers. No, I mean, I believe it was something at that restaurant. What exactly? I don't know. I can't even fathom a way to get cut. Are they playing catch with knives? I doubt they'd be that stupid. But who knows? No Face, thoughts on Markstrom's 4 goals against? Not good, obviously. What am I going to say to that? The numbers are bad. The numbers are bad, and I'm hoping he rights the ship. And I hope we see the Marky we saw in LA, because that was primetime A+ Marky. Stole the win. Stole the win and stole the 2 points of the Devils in La La Land. Yeah, so what is this? Is this updated after tonight's game? It is. So currently he's got a 3.83 goals against and a save percentage of .864. It's pretty brutal. I mean, it really is. But Robert, relax. People, Luke is 22. Patience. Yeah, you would think that people would get that, but the $9 million supersedes all, and they go into attack. David says Woodson is wrong. The fault was not converting Luke to a winger. Husky, society today doesn't allow for strong men anymore. It's being brutally reflected in today's NHL players. Wow, I never really thought about that. I don't know. I just feel like the game overall has gotten extremely soft compared to the old days, and maybe that has something to do with society. Maybe you're onto something. I don't know. Wooden says any other team, Luke would have been a healthy scratch already. You're crazy, man. With all these injuries, there's no chance that Luke is getting healthy scratched. I don't know what planet you live on, but Mersh, Luke actually stepped up in a big way when Jack was out last season, hence the contract everyone complains about. David, if Marky never gets out of this rut, the likelihood of Fitz activating Dawes is almost nothing. You'd have to say he was wrong in extending Marky early. I could see that. At some point, though, I mean, if it really continues like this, I don't know. Let's just hope that doesn't happen. Let's just hope Marky gets back to a level of good play consistently. Mara says, good night, Ace and fellow Devils fans. Let's go Devils. Good night. Jason, the only thing that matters is Jack once again won't play 82. Will we ever see it? Man, I really thought there was a chance we were going to see it this year. I really did. Never in a million years would have guessed that it wouldn't have happened because of an off-ice injury of this nature. It's crazy. No, those are my future's bright shades, Robert. I'm not hungover. World's Worst Gamer for sure says, you doubt they would be that stupid. Have you seen young people these days? Yeah, no, I do think society as a whole is in trouble for sure. When I talk to young people, and by young people, I mean, like, I don't know, anyone under 30, I'm like, I don't know how you're going to make it. I just don't know how you're going to survive in society. But somehow here we are in 2025. There's a lot of these people running around. But I'd have to believe that professional athletes, especially high-level ones, are a little bit smarter than your average person of that age. But I could be totally wrong. But I just have to believe that Jack Hughes at age 24 is not doing a lot of the stuff that the typical 24-year-old who's not a superstar player in a major sport is doing. But I could be wrong there. I just want to believe that that's the case. Suk says Frank the Tank slipped with a knife in his hand. Devil's Hawk says the reason why they made a Jack Hughes bobblehead with a cape. Obviously, Jack Hughes saved an old lady from 3 men and lost a finger. NJ Swamp Fox, experts say it takes at least 150 to 200 games to evaluate how good a D-man will be. How many games does Luke have under his belt? Low 200s, I believe. Let me double check. I think it's like, low 200s. Career games played, not even, 174. Trevor says Luke wouldn't be a scratch on any team. Every single team in the league would take him gladly. Well said, Trevor. Some of the statements that get made here are just so ridiculous that I'm like, I don't even have the energy. Roman says, half the old men that call people soft now, I could beat the crap out of. Stop projecting your fake macho stuff everywhere. Watch UFC if it's that important to you. I'm not really sure what this means exactly, but it's toughness and physicality certainly matters in hockey. If you don't agree with that, then you're just not watching the games, and you're definitely not watching the playoffs, because it certainly matters. It certainly matters. World's Worst Gamer, hey, at least the Devils are not 0-21 like my hometown junior B team are. Oh, my God, 0-21. Mark says, you see Wild chew the shit out of the Dallas bench after Rantanen boarded Romanov. Wish we had him as a coach. I haven't seen anything outside of the Devils yet. Trevor, Ace, did you hear that the team originally thought Jack's injury would be season-ending, and only after evaluation it was good news it's only going to be for 2 months? I'm assuming you are referring to the Elliot Friedman report. Are you talking about the Elliot Friedman report? Because I don't think that necessarily said what you're saying it said. Maybe you misunderstood, or maybe I misunderstood, but I thought Elliot was talking about himself, not the Devils. David, want to say again that your interview with Fischler was awesome. I sent it to my father, who is near Stan's age and also from Brooklyn. He loved it. Found it inspiring that Stan is still able to work. Oh, thank you very much, David. Talking to Stan obviously was a thrill. I've talked about him with you guys plenty of times. You know, Matt and the Maven, Doc, Chico, all the old school broadcasters that I grew up watching during the golden era of New Jersey Devils hockey. And talking to Stan was surreal. It really was. And I hope to get to do it again. It was super awesome, but I'm glad you liked it, David. I'm glad your father liked it. And yeah, I hope to have him on again. He said he would do it. Obviously he's, in Israel, and there's a whole host of things he's dealing with over there, but Stan is just an absolute legend, and it was really awesome to talk to him. John, everyone under 30 is playing Fortnite 10 hours a day. No further explanation needed. I mean, yeah, wow. John Fay, why do I feel like the season Jack plays all 82, soon to be 84 games, is the season the Devils win the Stanley Cup? I hope I'm wrong, but who knows what's to happen. We just got to get to the playoffs. The Luke glazing in here is impeccable. The guy could pull down his pants and take a poop on the ice, and that'd be worth the $9 million in all of your eyes. No, but I'm not an idiot, and I've said it 15 times. I don't know what you're going to understand. I wasn't expecting him to be worth $9 million this year. That's not how these things work. For the 700th time, I'm hoping that in 2 years from now, he is a $12 million defenseman, and we have him signed for $9 million. That is very possible. But in the meantime, people like you are going to say nonsense and knock the kid and say all this nonsense over and over and over again because your narrative is to be a hater, and that's your prerogative. Jason says physicality is so important. Go ask the Panthers about their 2 cups. Roman, there's a difference between thinking it's good for your hockey team to be tough and making commentary on society because men don't bash each other in the head as much. There's still plenty of toughness in hockey. Okay. Trevor, world's worst gamer. You won't be complaining about it in a season or 2 and the cap goes up. His contract will be the equivalent of $6 million signed a year ago. Trevor, what's the point, man? These people have a mission, and their mission is just to be haters. And so facts and reality don't matter. Don't explain about percentage of cap, or don't explain about future value, because that doesn't matter. They want to do them in the now. Robert, from 94 to 05, no NHL teams had more regular seasons wins than our Devils. Oh, yeah, the glory days. What a time to be a Devils fan. Faye, I do wonder how the in-division rivals are going to work when the games go from 82 to 84. Yeah, we'll find out. But there should never be a season where the Devils and Rangers only play 3 times. I mean, that is just absolutely criminal. It really is. The league should really figure out how to go back to really drumming up the interest in those division rivalries and at least have them play 6 times. Justin, Luke Hughes is going to be a great defenseman in this league. I completely agree with you, Justin. But, these people want to be like, he's not playing like $9 million and just continue to push the anti, whatever narrative they want. I'm just not going to subscribe to it. The kid's 22 years old. He has all the talent in the world. He's going to get better. He's playing under non-ideal circumstances right now with the extra minutes and, partner and all that stuff. Like, there's a lot of stuff going on right now that he's going to have to, thrive under pressure and figure it out as he continues on. But he's still very young, like you guys said. Most people will say 200 or so games for a defenseman, which is a little under 3 seasons, and he's not even there yet. And we're asking a lot of this kid at a young age, and there's going to be nights where you see some things where you're like, that wasn't great. And there's going to be nights where he makes amazing plays. Someone's texting me. Let's see if this is. Husky, I don't want a 25th anniversary since we won the cup. I love reminiscing, but I want a shiny new cup. Husky deserves this. I've been a good boy. Yeah, I like reminiscing too, but I wish it was slightly more recent. And wouldn't it be something that we talked about this before? If the 2026 Cup Finals was a 25-year later rematch of the New Jersey Devils and the Colorado Avalanche, wouldn't that be something? 25 years in the making, and then we get revenge on them for that Ray Bourque nonsense. How they rammed it down our throats. 16W and Ray Bourque. Trevor Alby, as he may never score double-digit goals as a highly paid D-man. You're talking about Luke? He's definitely going to have double-digit goals. I really hope you're right. Jason, no, I agree. I'm sick of hearing about those days. It's been so damn long. An offensive D-man not scoring close to 20 is ridiculous. I mean, that's still a lot. Trevor, too many fans don't understand the cap and salaries. John Fay, we can keep dreaming, and hopefully that this season is the season we lift Lord Stanley. Oh, I want it so badly, folks. I want to see another cup so badly. David, the game is still tough. Just cleared out the show. Fighting and the cross-checks in front of the net. And Mario Lemieux not having his back destroyed by cross-checks has zero to do with feminization. Okay. Jay Snow says, can we get a deep playoff run at least? Eastern Conference Finals or bust? Inconsistency is incompatible with success. Even teams that go on deep runs and win cups have bad games. So, if the Devils win 4 out of every 6 games or something like that, would you say that that's inconsistent? Like, what is the definition of inconsistency? NJ Swamp Fox didn't know that Fisher's wife was a hockey journalist and co-author and business partner with Stan. The story about her being barred from the Rags room and how she fought it was great. Yeah. Pretty wild story, right? I didn't realize that either until I heard it before I did the interview with Stan. But up until like a week before that, I had never heard it before. When I was doing some research, I came across it. And that's crazy. In the 70s, they did not allow women in the press box. Pretty wild stuff. Justin, Ace, we were spoiled from 95 to 03. Oh, the memories. Beyond spoiled. And really, you could even, say maybe a couple years before that and then extend it even after 03. Obviously, that was the last cup, but the Devils still had some promising teams that won divisions and, made the playoffs regularly that you thought had a chance to go far after that. It was just consistent, high expectations. Roman, you don't get to claim being young when you make $9 million. If you're a D-man, you have to be steady. Otherwise, you need to be an offensive powerhouse, and he's not doing that much for us, not even a power play one guy. Again, I disagree. I have more patience than the rest of you, I guess. Snow Devil, with 84 games in a season, there's exactly enough games to play each team in your division 4 times, conference 3 times, and each team in the other conference 2 times. I imagine that's how it'll be. Okay, so I could see that. Did y'all read Marty's book? He said Stevens wanted Ray to win. He walked out of coach speech before third and 0-1 finals. I don't remember that. Jason, no, let's just say we don't make a deep playoff run. I think you have to consider breaking up the core. I'd imagine you'll hear a lot of chatter around that. If they don't win a couple rounds, I could totally see that. And there's so many variables leading up to that, but I certainly would say that will be a thing if that happens. If they win 4 out of the 6 the rest of the way, I'd be thrilled. They're not going to. No, I don't think they are either, but 4 out of 6 is what, 666 hockey? I mean, they could be somewhere around there potentially. But my point is, if they're still getting wins, banking points, and still in a decent standing, like, what are you expecting? Justin, best Devils call ever was the championship New Jersey. The Devils won the Stanley Cup. Best call ever. Obviously referring to Mike Doc Emmerich's call in the closing seconds as the buzzer sounded in Game 4 of the 1995 Stanley Cup Finals, where the New Jersey Devils completed the sweep of a powerhouse Detroit Red Wings club. Unbelievable moment in franchise history. David, fun fact, Scott Stevens only got 4 elbowing penalties his career. Definition of playing hard without dirty. Were he around after head hit crackdown, he would have had broken ribs instead. Overall, I meant consistency from the top guys. The important individual players continuing to grow, not the overall team and their record. The overall team and their record is all that matters, you idiot. We would sit here and look for things to nitpick and shit on guys. This is why I don't like you. And most of the people here don't like you is because you are negative. And you are certainly SST. There's no convincing me that you're not. Wilson says, I give it 50-50 who makes the playoffs this season. I mean, that's pretty ridiculous. 50-50? Come on, man. Roman, would be interesting to see a 25-year-old Stevens play today. Trevor says, what I would give for a 25-year-old Scott Stevens on this team. You and me both. You and me both. No, I'm not going to boot people for being stupid. I mean, stupidity is a curse, right? As long as they don't say anything crazy, I'm not going to boot you for being dumb. But it's just for people to sit here and just crap on a 22-year-old kid while the team is doing good and then be like, well, it doesn't matter if the team's doing good. If they're whatever they're doing in their mind, then they attack the person relentlessly. And it's all you talk about is just Luke this, Luke that. It's like a sick obsession. Like, he's going to be fine. He's 22 years old. Give it up. Give it up. World's Worst Gamer, we didn't want decent this year. It has to be an automatic 100 points, and to be first or second in the conference, this is now definitely no guarantee. Again, I think the 100 points happen. 100 plus points. I don't know if that'll be first or second in the conference. I don't know if you meant division there, but I don't think it's going to be first or second in the conference. Division, maybe. But you also have to realize that, and again, I hate to say it because it's gross, but with the injuries and more specifically to Jack again, in the flukest of injuries we've seen in quite some time or ever, to expect them to not dip off a little bit in his absence is wild. The team is not going to play the same. Obviously, they just got to find ways to win, but to not alter your expectations in light of Jack Hughes being out for 2 months is just complete insanity. Anthony says, bring back the 1-8 format. I think that's something that if they put that to a vote, it would be overwhelmingly supported by everyone. The 1-8 is so much better than the crap we have now. I hate the current format. 1-8 makes so much more sense. I don't know if they'll ever go back to it or not. I hope they do. But at some point, you would have to think that what fans want matters. And the fans overwhelmingly want that. I believe I saw a poll like a few weeks ago. I forget who put it out, but it was like, I want to say it was like 95% or something that said they wanted 1 to 8 versus the current format. I mean, how could you ignore your paying customer base on something that's such a landslide? It's not like it was 55 to 45. Like it was overwhelming. It was like 95 to 5. World's Worst Gamer, I'm glad I saw my 3 Stanley Cup wins by the team. So glad. Yeah, same here. Good luck to the fans that have never seen one. I feel bad for them. I can't imagine a world where I only know, I guess it wouldn't be, depending on when you became a fan, it wouldn't be complete pain and suffering. But, you know, it's been overall a pretty brutal 13 years, I would say. I mean, shit, we made the playoffs 3 times and won 7 total games in that time span since the 2012 finals. And so, yeah, the past 13 years, I would say, is pretty damn ugly overall. I mean, obviously beating the Rangers in that series was great, but outside of that, there's nothing at all. It's the one playoff round win in 13 years. It is unacceptable. Yeah, he's trying to say he's not SST. I'm not buying it, but Ryan Johnson, Brodeur with another hat trick tonight. Will they put him on Team Canada? You got another Hattie, huh? I don't know. There's a lot of competition, obviously, for Canada. People talking about Bedard, people talking about Celebrini. We will see. They have a lot of decisions to make for Canada for sure. Bobby, what's up, Ace man? What an ugly game tonight. Overall, we look so sloppy. Special teams let us down. Yeah, it was brutal. Ugly night all around. David, our record with all the injuries tells you everything you need to know that this team is for real. Don't waste energy on negativity junkies. I know, there's so many of them, right? John Fay says, is stupidity a curse or is it seeking attention? Maybe it's both. Maybe it's a little bit of both, John Fay. But it is crazy, the stuff that, you know. Woodson, with the way the injuries have been with this team, why is 50-50 ridiculous? To not make the playoffs is ridiculous, Woodson. Just stop it. I mean, I'm sure. Okay, let me look if there's a Vegas line. If there's a Vegas line, it's going to be minus something crazy for the Devils to make the playoffs. And that'll show that you're crazy. Yeah, okay. Here we go. Why Woodson is an idiot. We'll show it right here. I just have to put reality out there for the people that might be influenced by these stupid comments. Why is 50-50 ridiculous? Because by math odds from whoever does this, the Devils' odds of making the playoffs right now are 82.5%. So that is a whopping 32.5% more than your idiotic 50-50. So why 50-50 is ridiculous? Because it's currently at 82.5, which again is 32.5% more than what you put. Thank you and sit down. You've been served. What's going on, Evan? World's worst, not crapping on him. He's fine. Fine doesn't get paid $9 million. Future value. Future value. I want the team to have success. True success, not a good record in November in a first-round playoff exit. Did we get knocked out in the first round of the playoffs yet? At last I checked, it's still November. I think I'm done giving you any sort of attention. It's just ridiculous. Justin, which line was better, crash line or the A line? I mean, listen, 2 different kinds of lines. Crash line, a depth line to take back or create momentum shifts in games, and they scored some big goals too. But obviously, it's hard. It's an unfair comparison. The A line was an offensive line, so they're both amazing in different ways. It's not fair to compare them because again, one is a depth line and one is a top line. So, Snow Devil, the only way I see to pay both Nemo and Grits is to trade 2 of Palat, Dougie, and Marky. Either way, it leaves the team weaker. GM has no easy job. Well, I think Palat's going to block a lot of trades to bad teams. And Marky, I believe, has some sort of no trade clause. So I do think you're looking at a situation where, and I was telling somebody this, one of my buddies in a text last night, I hope that Fitz is not tempted by the easiest way out. And the easiest way out will be Dougie because of the amount of money he makes and his value to other teams. He would be the easiest one to trade to fix all of the problems. And I hope that's not the case because I think we really need him for the playoffs. But my God, it's going to be scary going into deadline day for me. Roman, when you hold out for your money, you got to give up the young excuses pretty soon. I'll relax. He's 22, man. I'll relax and give him to the end of the year. Okay, the end of the year is so far away from now. So why are we talking about this today? Everybody shut your mouth till the end of the year. What is the 1-8 format, Snow Devil? Is where the teams in the East were just seeded 1-8. Back then, there was it 3 divisions? Yeah, so back in the day, there was 3 divisions in each conference, and the winner of each division was automatically the top 3 seeds. So there was 3 divisions, and then whoever won the division, you were guaranteed top 3. So they would seed them 1 through 3, depending on how many points you had, and then the rest of the 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 was all just by points. It was and then 1 would play 8, 2 would play 7, 3 would play 6, and 4 and 5 would play. Clearly the best playoff format ever. Why they ever went away from it, I have no idea. The current model is terrible. David, Money Puck's math model has us at 103 points, probably accurate. Jack being out will cost us 7 points. This should be a 110-point team with average health. John faces, I wouldn't mind the return of the 1-8 format. This is so ridiculous. I know it won't happen, but is a game in the press box the worst thing in the world for Luke right now? Yes. It's never going to happen. It's a ridiculous... especially with the injuries, it is the most absurd thing I've ever. It might be the worst, the most absurd thing someone's ever written in here. Roman, all 3 cups are my lifetime, so I'm good. Nothing in the prime of my life, though. Just watching that Game 6 loss in LA, brutal. David says, I love the current format. Rivalry series are fun. Disagree with most fans. The wild card balances out divisional differences and adds a little spice. Perfect system. Hard disagree, David. It's a terrible system. There's a reason why 95% of fans want 1 through 8 back. It's just so much better. Justin says Luke Hughes is not leaving the lineup no matter how much you want him out. That's completely correct. Evan, you guys are lucky you don't have to root for the Nets or the Giants. Some of you would be miserable. Be happy that the Devils were good. I'm a Giants fan, very casual one. And if I had to pick an NBA team, I would pick the Nets just because they were the New Jersey Nets, but I really stopped caring pretty much when they left New Jersey. It's unfortunate. They should have stayed at Prudential Center. If we go on a simple 5-game losing streak, we'll be out of the playoffs based on the current standings. Yeah. If we go on a 10-game losing streak, we'll be out of the playoffs too. I mean, how ridiculous is it to say if any team went on a 5-game losing streak, they'll be out of the playoffs? What is your point? You have no point. You are a negative human being. It's ridiculous. David, if someone gave me even money on Devils making the playoffs, I'd put a few grand on that, and I don't even gamble. Yeah, that's sensible, David, as would I. If there was a way to secure the Devils to make the playoffs at even money, which that was my next point to show how dumb Woodson is, because I just showed the 82.5%. So let's see what that translates into a betting line. It's going to be like minus 400 probably. Oh, I'm pretty good at this thing, huh, guys? Here we go. Bear with me 1 second while I pull the thing. Yeah, that was my next point. So I showed the 82.5%. And now we show the current betting line for the Devils to make the playoffs. Minus 450. Minus 450. That is how sure and again, this is not the end all be all, but it's the best kind of illustration you could use. Is I just showed the thing from, I think it was Puckpedia, that had the Devils making the playoffs at 82.5%. And now when you pull up the Vegas betting odds, if you wanted to bet on the Devils to make the playoffs right now, that you want to say, yes, I'm putting my money down, Devils to make the playoffs, it is minus 450, meaning you have to bet $450 to win 100. Minus 450. So to your point, David, if you were able to get even money on that, on something that is minus 450, I would put a ton of money on it because you're getting incredible value for that bet. But yeah, this is Woodson's an idiot illustration 2. And if you missed illustration 1 of Woodson's an idiot on that comment, here was the first one. 82.5% to make the playoffs. John Fay, 82.5. I'll take 82.5% chance of making the playoffs any day, as would I. Snow, that's crazy. 82% and only 20 games on. Mm-hmm. But they're factoring in all the, the outside elements. Speaking of A-line, when are you getting Arnie on? That'd be an epic one. Roman Plot could block all the trades to any team that could take him. We're still in an incredibly odd situation. I don't think he's going to be the fix. David says, Jay Snow, it's not. Hockey is more predictable than you think. 20 games is not a small sample. Yeah, we're basically a quarter of the way through the season, which is psychotic to think about. Knowles would love to stay up all night, but I got to be up early. Good night, y'all. Let's go Devils. Justin, stop hating on Luke Hughes. This is getting ridiculous. He is 22. Luke Hughes will be an elite defenseman in the NHL. I completely agree, but people want to complain, man. You're just witnessing. You're just looking at people that want to just complain about something. Never happy. World's worst. Anyone got anything to say that Ethan Edwards called up? I hope we see him in a game at some point. I've liked Ethan Edwards for a long time now, but I think Dilly was sitting out practice. He's probably still a little nicked up. So, maybe it's just for a practice body, or maybe they get him in a game. Time will tell. Paha, 3 returning players in one game is too many. It messes up the chemistry. One at a time in order of readiness is way to go. I don't necessarily know about that, especially when you're talking about defense and forward. But, yeah, one defender and 2 forwards and kind of mixing up the lines. It could be, maybe it was a lot for them to handle at once, but you'd like to think that it's a spark and not a detriment. But let's see what they look like next game and what the lines are. Justin says Bettman's an idiot. That's why the NHL got rid of it. Trevor says, Keith playing Luke for nearly 30 minutes a night should tell you how someone who knows hockey thinks about his play. David, I'm sorry, but a series against the Rags, Caps, or Canes is way more exciting than playing, say, the Lightning in an opening round. Remember when we knocked out the Cats in round 1 in a cup run? Yeah, I do. I do remember that in 2000. It was phenomenal. Pavel Bure got shut down. Shut down. Shut down. I mean, I just want things that make sense. And in the end, the current format does not make sense. Teams need to be rewarded in a more logical fashion, I believe. Yeah, when the Devils played the Panthers, we swept them. It was beautiful. I don't need it to be close. I want the team to win. Sweep. But I do vividly remember us knocking out the Cats in a round 1 cup run. Woodson, that is not odds with Jack on the ice. All of these things are taking into account exactly what's happening. Nice try. You're trying to squiggle out of it because you're just a negative idiot. I can't. I can't just let your nonsense go unpunished. And now you're being punished for being stupid. 82.5%. 82.5% and minus 450. You need some sort of you need a little whack. You need a little whack in the head sometimes. This was nonsense, and I'm showing it to you. That is not odds with Jack on the ice. That is odds as of right now with the team where it is without Jack. The odds are counting all of that into it. David, I remember our playoff series against the Rags, Flyers, and Penguins a lot more than teams that are not rivals. That is my point. No, I agree with you, David. But in the end, I don't need it to be memorable. I need us to win. I don't care about all that shit. Just make it make sense. 1, 8, 2, 7, 3, 6, 4, 5. It's the most logical thing you could do. This, whatever they came up with this nonsense, I don't like it at all. And most people agree with me, but you're entitled to your opinion. But 1 through 8 is definitely supreme. Since the Schmid putting on a show against the Rangers tonight. What's the score? Ooh, 2-1. Maybe I'll catch the end of this one. Okay. Wooden says, Ace just knows we can't beat the Canes in round 1, so wants a format change. No, I would have wanted I wanted the format change before that. When they first announced it, I was like, what is this? And now as time goes on, most people are like, we're done with this. This is crap. 1 through 8 has nothing to do with the Canes. I like to see the odds of finishing with home ice. I don't think that there's a thing for that. SJ, I was a Nets fan, but no, since they left, screw them. Yeah, they were the second New Jersey team, and now we're back to just the Devils. Eric, so who's going to be the victim of the President's Trophy curse this year? Canes or Avs? Hopefully Canes. I don't think the Canes win it. That would be crazy if they did. Bettman doesn't believe in logic. Woodson, Avs. Canes always go on their usual scoring slump streak and then find it when they play us. Oh. David chimes, in the 80s, for a brief time, they did 1 to 16 seeding. Would you support that? The airlines would join you. No. No, 1 to 16 is ridiculous. You got to keep just do 1 through 8 for the conferences. That's completely logical. Paha, why can't they stick with the hot goalie until he's not hot anymore? What's the point of juggling? Too much of a workload? Yeah, well, Marty's a different species. Marty's a different species, and he's been on record talking about how he doesn't really love the whole way goalies are treated nowadays. He's talked about it. People have asked him. Marty's super old school. He likes it, the way it was when he was playing. And obviously he's a guy that played at a very high level for a very long time. So, he's not going to just all of a sudden change his viewpoints on the position that he dominated for so many years. He's going to maintain what he's believed the whole time, which is, you play your guy, but that's not really his battle to fight anymore. Bettman is the owner's pets. I think so too. And I think that's why he's been here around for so long, is because the owners are making tons of money. Franchise values are through the roof. And so the owners love him for it. He's making them money. Trevor says, Google AI says the Devils have a 20% chance of getting home ice. It's interesting. Justin, it was a stupid decision to change the playoff format. Go back to the original format. I agree. Jay Snow, Yegorov not having a great year so far. Yeah, I've heard that they're struggling. The team's not playing too good. And as a result, he's struggling, which is, again, he's very young also. A lot of people just thought he was going to be here like next year, which I don't think is the case. I think he's several years away, but he's only 19 years old. So again, when we start talking about a bright future, I think he's part of that bright future, but that's not helping us win a cup right now and in the win now window. And this team should be in the full win now window. It should be now. The core is aging. We have some win now pieces. We have aging goalies. We have some vets like, Pesci and Dillon. They got to make a push. But I am excited for whenever Yegorov gets here, but it's not for a while. David says, I'm not trying to be annoying, but beating the Canes would be twice as sweet as any other team. This season, if we beat the Canes and make the conference finals, it's a big deal and satisfying. It is, but in the end, I could go without it. I could go without it. We can't develop goalies until after they leave the organization. Justin, Markstrom needs to consistently play this. Every other game is hurting him. All right, so Justin, would you start him next game? I mean, that's the argument, right? It's like, oh, he's not playing enough. Okay, so would you start him next game, Justin? Robert says, I wonder if Marty's trying to get Jeremy called up. No, he's definitely not. Jason Osalayev's barely playing in the K. There's a lot of stuff that goes into that too. I don't know enough about it to I guess fully weigh in, but I've heard and read things in the past that like when guys are basically on their way out of there, that this happens. I don't know how true that is or not, but I've definitely heard that's kind of a thing. But I don't know. I'd be very curious to see when he's here what he's going to look like. But again, a very young kid, part of the bright future. David says, switch the playoff format. Anything but a cup will not be satisfying. Beating the Rags in round 1 2 years ago felt much better than if we won round 1 against, say, Boston. Sure, I can't agree. I can't disagree with you there. But in the end, I can't look at it like that. I just look at the overall picture, and it just the whole thing doesn't make sense to me. And how many times do we see the same matchups year after year? Like it's just a tired. I think it's just a tired system now. You do not start Marky next game. That is a hill I die on. I wouldn't start him next game, but I'm curious. Robert, the 1-2 seeds play each other, so it's looking like Devs, Canes. Justin, start Markstrom against Florida if he struggles and give Allen the net for a while. It's an interesting one. It's a bold strategy. That is a bold strategy. SJ, Panthers are playing better. Going to be a tough game. Jason Shesterkin's having another sick year. Where would the Rangers be if Marky was their goalie? Eric says Allen versus Panthers and Markstrom versus Flyers. Jason, Panthers can score. We got to start potting them again. Yeah, it's been a little bit of a drought. You're living in that Jack Hughes is out of the lineup world. And it's not great. It's definitely not great. Who's going to step up? Who is going to step up in the absence of Jack Hughes? We're going to need several guys to do it. In no reality do you let Markstrom get shelled by the Panthers. It would kill his confidence more, and I have no confidence in him in that matchup. The thing is, I think he could come in and play a good game. I think he's a little bit inconsistent this year, and I don't think it's impossible for him to come in and be amazing. But I also don't know if I want to take that chance right now. World's Worst Gamer says 3-1 Golden Knights now. At least the Rags are going to take an L. Woodson, Marky decides when he plays just like Luke decides how many minutes he plays. The players run the show, not good. If you really believe that, you're insane. If you believe Luke decides how many minutes he plays, Woodson, come on, man. SJ says maybe Marky is like Marty and needs every game. The difference is when Marty was saying he needs every game, he had insanely good numbers in every department and was racking up wins. It's an entirely different scenario for someone to kind of make that claim with poor numbers and results. But I don't know. These are all things the coaching staff has to figure out. I'm sure if you ask Markstrom, he would want to play next game. And maybe that is a good idea. I don't know, but it's definitely scary to me. Because then what? If he plays bad, right? If he plays bad in Florida, you're like, oh my God, 2 back-to-back games. You give Allen the net for a while. What if Marky comes in there and he plays lights out? And then you're like, now what? Now he had a dud, played awesome in Florida, and now you're like, we're gonna ride him, and then what? And then you reevaluate every game. It's a very slippery slope. Jay Snow, can we get more guys going to the blue? I feel like too often the goalie sees every puck with no screens or tips. There was a lot of pucks tonight that Vasilevsky didn't see, and we either missed the net or they hit him or hit somebody. There was a bunch I feel like he just did not have sight on, but we weren't able to capitalize. Jay Snow, Marty's the GOAT, hands down. Hands down the GOAT. We will never see another one. And if you were a fan during that time, enjoy the ride. Enjoy it because it was such a time. Hypothetically, if Marky plays well and wins in Florida, do you reward him and play him again? I default. Yeah, that's kind of what I just said, right? It's like, okay, so he goes out there and he plays horrible. You're like, oh, that's 2 bad ones in a row. Give it to Allen. Or he plays great, and then you're like, all right, well, then maybe. And then you try to convince yourself that the game in Tampa was like an outlier, and he's still, and you're going to ride. Yeah, it's just a slippery kind of thing. There's no easy answer here, but I definitely would go with Allen for a little bit, I think. Eric, that's exactly why we get goalied so much. Justin would rather have Marky struggle now than March and April. Jason, no, I agree. These elite goalies, if they see it, they stop it. You need to take away their eyes. Yeah. You just answered my question. Yeah. Would you agree, though, we need a big net front guy? I mean, I don't necessarily know if it needs to be a net front guy. Just guys need to go to dirty areas and crash the net. I would like a big physical, scritty winger is my number one want. Just a guy who plays nasty, could score, and just do everything. Like, that would be my number one want. And we'll see. But there's guys that have done it situationally. Just guys need to make a commitment to doing it more. I want to see Mercer crash the net, Timo Meyer. Everyone just go hard to the net. Pay the price. Pay the price and get dirty goals. Again, it really, after all these years, it makes you really appreciate a guy like Zach Parise. Zach Parise, for me, pound for pound, one of the toughest New Jersey Devils of all time. Despite not being big in stature, talk about a strong, just little ox. This guy got pounded in front of the net and could score all kinds of ways. He had great breakaway moves. He'd get dirty goals in front, rebounds, deflections. Zach Parise was just, pound for pound, probably one of the toughest New Jersey Devils of all time. Guys should watch some of his highlights and take some cues from his game. Devils don't go to the front of the net. Robert. Ace, is Marty's win total untouchable? Oh, God. It's one of the most untouchable records in all of sports. And I would have said that years ago. And it's just simple math, right? And now with all these, the coddling of the goaltenders, how these guys in the sports science, they can only play 50, 60 games. It makes his record that much more untouchable. He has 691 wins. So you're talking about an average goalie now. Let's see. Probably play a good starter. Let's just see. How many did Hellebuck play last year? He probably played almost 60, I would guess. Yeah, so the top dogs, a handful of guys play, the usual suspects play 60 plus. Sorokin, Shesterkin, Montembeault, Hellebuck, and Vasilevsky all played over 60. And Connor Hellebuck had 47 wins, which is crazy, right? But even if you say an average, and then after him, the next Vasilevsky had 38. So one guy cracked 40 wins. To beat Marty's record, you're talking about needing 17 and a half 40-win seasons. Most NHL goalies will never sniff that long of a career, never mind win 40 games every single year. So that really just puts it into perspective. You would need 17 and a half 40-win seasons. It's never happening for a variety of reasons. Most guys are never going to play that long. And if they do, they're not going to. 40 wins every year is great. One guy had 40 wins last year, and it was Hellebuck. He had 47. So you're talking about playing at the highest level for an eternity. It will never happen. And the Martin Brodeur all-time wins record will stand for eternity. David, if a team has a little biz being in the playoffs and no chance of going deep, they still get a shot at spoiling a rival. Ottawa versus Toronto, for example, I won't beat this dead horse anymore. Just my opinion. But the reality is, I think any team could win the whole thing. You never, who's to say, like, no one gave the 95 Devils a chance of winning the cup. And look at the run they had. And so, I don't know. I understand what you're saying with the rivalries, but in the end, I want something that's more fair. And I don't want to see the same stupid matchups every year. And so the 1-8 is just so much better. If he plays nasty, he's going to the blue. I want to see Timo live there. Yeah, we saw him, tie the, was it the Montreal game late? Timo getting down and dirty in the crease. Love to see it. I do think we'll see a trade this season, something to invigorate the lineup. Maybe someone we don't expect that comes in and is invaluable, at least I hope. I would like to see it. I think it's going to have to be someone who doesn't get paid a lot of money. I'm not expecting a big move like many people are, but if it's a welcome addition, I'd be excited about it. Justin says Marty's win total is untouchable. Jay Snow, it does. Parisi was just a bull and so strong on his skates. Yeah, the toughest. It was 692. Why do I think it was 691? No, 691. Oh, you're saying to beat it would be 692. I got it. Yeah, it's never going to happen. But Zach Parisi, one of the toughest Devils, pound for pound, for sure. This team needs a spark addition. Mid-season trades can improve a locker room in ways I'm sure we will never know. It could, and I think the additions of Brown was a big addition this offseason. I think he was a big one on and off the ice, but can they get another? Was Connor Brown enough? And now with Jack going down, I'm going to say definitively that it's not. Had Jack not gone down, it could have been, but everyone has to step up. Jack says, need to get O'Reilly, need another center, even with full health, and we know that'll never happen anyway. I agree there. I wanted a trade. I wanted a center before that. Jason, Corey Perry's 40 and still lives in front of the net. It's insane what he's been doing. Corey Perry, what a beast. O'Reilly would be good. He plays with heart, too. David, no one's even within 200 games played of Marty ever. Just not happening. It's like Cy Young win record. Completely agree. And that's why Marty's got his statue. Jack, O'Reilly would be such a jolt. He would thrive on being a contender again. Price is high, but would have to go for it sometime, right? Be ballsy, for God's sake, anything on the table. Yeah, I wouldn't want to gut the roster for him, but like a good prospect in a first-round pick, I think that's in the ballpark of what it would take. I would do it. Yeah, I'm with you, Snow. Go all in. I don't care about the picks. The time to win is now. If not now, it's never going to happen. Trade all the futures away and try to make a push. I would give a first, a second, and Casey for O'Reilly retained. I would too, without thinking about it. If they maintain their winning rate, they should absolutely go for it. F the picks. Eric, trade Palat in our first-round pick. Oh, you wish they would take that, Eric. That's not realistic. Yeah, they're not taking that. Bobby Holik was one of the toughest for sure, but Bobby was also a horse. I'm talking about pound for pound. But yeah, Bobby obviously just complete specimen. But Zach Parisi was a very smaller in stature, but made up for it with balls and heart and just went to the dirty areas and did everything. What a player. What a player. Another one of my childhood. You're not even a child. I was younger, but one of my favorites from back in the day. Jack says we want to win now. Who cares about 10 years from now? Going to be kicking ourselves 10 years from now if we don't go all in now. Completely agree. The time to win is now. I've been talking about it for years now, folks. The time to win is now. Snow Devil, another Connor Brown type player, can make a huge difference when Jack is back. I agree. Jay Snow, Connor Brown is a nice piece, but not the piece. He's fast, but not physical. Brown isn't the piece correct, but he's definitely a piece of a successful run. I agree with that. But if you're looking for, I guess if it's a physical guy, I don't know. I think if you're looking for like a name that's going to be kind of bigger than Connor Brown, then I think you're all getting set up for failure, but we'll see. Jack says Hughes, Heischer, O'Reilly, Glass would be the best center depth in the league. Not close either. I would agree with that. Glass 4C with O'Reilly or a similar, a Kadri, someone brought up earlier. Yeah, if those are your four centers, I would say that is the best center grouping in the league. But we'll see. Jason, I read something crazy since Matthews came to Toronto. They've traded something like 40 picks. Wouldn't surprise me. Bobby Allneck was his nickname. Jason, that's nuts. Leaves have no future. Snow Devil, $3 million Brown is a steal and a real difference maker. Completely agree with that. Sucks that he went down and missed all that time, but the boys did fairly decent in his absence. Hopefully he could get it going again. He was a big catalyst early on in the season. I would love Alex Tuck, but I don't think that's realistic. Because I think it would take a ton to get him, and I think he's going to want a lot of money. I think the Devils are not going to give up the assets for a pure rental. And I think there was reports that he wanted like 11 or 12 million bucks. I just don't see it happening. I would love him though. I've talked about him for months now. SJ, agree. You don't have to be big, but brave. Go to the net front. No matter the size, take the punishment. And Zach did it. They should just show Zach clips on loop. Smaller name guys can come in and gel with this team too. Maybe someone who needs a fresh start somewhere. I'm sure there's no shortage of those guys, but who's it going to be? Jack Kadri be an animal on Jack Swing, plays on the edge too, which we all love, especially come playoffs. Yeah, but that doesn't help the center depth. I mean, he could be interesting. He probably would be nice on Jack Swing, but I think he probably would serve the team better at 3C. But who knows? I mean, with a guy like him, it's nice to have the option, right? You could throw him on a top two line wing, or you put him at 3C. Jack and Kadri would be that Halla type on Jack Swing, could take faceoffs and bring the edge. No, I agree, Snow. It's $7 million is not crazy with the cap, but for 4 more years, it is a little scary. Being 35, if that doesn't pan out, that's a huge miss. Eric, bunch of picks and Casey for Tage. That ain't gonna do that either, Eric. You gotta look at what some of these returns are gonna be. A bunch of picks and Casey ain't gonna get it done, my friend. Not even close. Not even close. They're gonna want roster players and picks and prospects. People would offer insane amounts for him. And his contract is absurdly team-friendly, too. Yeah. Oh, God. He's in year. He doesn't become an unrestricted free agent until 2030. And he's signed at $7.1 million. Eric, you don't even want to know what the ask on him would be. It would be substantially more than what you're putting there. It'd be a crazy. It could be potentially because of the money situation. I think it could be one of the biggest, trade packages in NHL history for a single guy. Yeah, kick Jack to the wing when you need it. Robert, we need a borderline dirty D-man, Lyle Odeline, Rich Pilon type. To be honest, I'm not worried about the defense, especially when we're healthy. With Dylan and Kovacevic kind of being the nasty guys back there with the young kids, and then you got Pesci. Any assets they use to improve the team has to go to the forward group. Not even close to getting it done. Jack could go back and forth between first line left wing and 3C. Yeah, it's a nice luxury to have. Snow Devil, if Tuck isn't resigning, someone will take him before the deadline. If that someone is Florida, the East is doomed. Jack, if you could pick considering age, production, would you rather Shen, O'Reilly, or Kadri? Are you considering the contract also? Is contract, like, are we living in reality, or is this like an exercise in silliness? And I hate to say it, I don't think any of these things are happening. Like, all these big names that people are throwing around, I don't think any of them are going to happen. I'll certainly entertain. Okay, so considering everything, I'm probably going O'Reilly. Just because the Kadri, I do like Kadri a lot, but if that whiffs, man, $7 million for 4 more years and 35, like, you thought people complained about Palat. Like, if that one misses, like, and now we're in our real window. So now you have to be real, missing on a deal like that now hurts way more than Fitz missing on Palat from whenever you want to start it, whenever that started. You cannot whiff on a contract like that now because the window is wide open. And whiffing on that that's a big miss. A big miss. Jay Snow, do you think this team can win a cup? Then you make the Kadri move. That's the question. I think this team can win a cup, but I still, again, at $7 million for that long, that really cripples you. Like, because if he bombs, that could basically cost you your true window. Yeah, Buffalo, it's one of the best contracts in the league. Do you think Fitz still has that dog in him to steal a trade? I don't know, but I'd love to see another fleece. The team is overdue. I don't think you're going to see many fleecing deals, period. Unless at least not for a known commodity. Like, if you're talking about a depth guy that you envision having a bigger role here and stepping into a different role and like elevating their play, sure, but you're not going to fleece a team for a guy like Tuck or Thompson or any of these guys. You're not. There's going to be too many teams involved. Yeah, Kadri. Yeah, if Kadri had a shorter contract, I would say Kadri. But $7 million for that long is scary. Benjamin said it last season, should have Marchand around. I wanted him badly last year. I talked about that too, but I knew he wasn't going to want to come here. But that's that. A proven playoff performer, an agitator, and just an absolute warrior menace. Warrior menace. Yeah, we don't need any more bad contracts. I'd have to give Kadri a hard pass. His age is a liability. It's just a scary situation. Robert, is it ironic that Clemenson, Akira Blackwood are thriving and we gave up on them? Clemenson? I don't know. Clemenson's been done forever. I don't know what you're talking about. David, if I had to guess on Tage, I'd pick the Wild. They have the long-term cap situation, some prospects that need a get-over-the-hump move. Thompson, Kaprizov could get them a cup. What a filthy combo that would be. But what are they giving up for that? You'd have to give up probably several firsts, definitely at least a roster player, if not two, and prospects. I don't know too much about their prospects, so I have no idea. Ideally, it's more someone in the middle ground of a big name and someone we've never heard of. Yeah, I think you're looking at like a Cody Glass-esque, Cody Glass-ish type move. World's Worst Gamer, what about Jake DeBrusk? $5 million per guy who's performed well in the playoffs at times. Left winger, he won't be cheap, but I really think the move has got to be a center. I mean, where are you thinking of putting DeBrusk? Does he make our team better on paper? Yes, but to what extent? Since Buffalo is a dumb franchise run by idiots, I think they would take anything in a trade. There's no way. There's no way they're going to trade away Thompson and not get a ton of pieces back. The tons of teams would be in on him too. Yeah, I think you're talking about an absolutely monstrous trade package. David, Malkin 1-year rental, calling it. Penguins ain't for real, no blue line. Malkin wants one more cup shot. Get Sarge to plant the idea over Vaca. David chimes. There's not many other guys that would get me more excited than Malkin right now. Malkin would be a dream. There's no way, man. Don't get me excited, David. Me and one of my buddies were talking about this the other day. I can't see it. I firmly believe he stays there with Sid. I can't see it, but I will tell you, if somehow it ever came down to it, Malkin, and it could just be nostalgia and whatever else kind of clouding my judgment, I would put Malkin over everybody else. Malkin would be number one on my list, hands down. If you're like, you could get, this guy, that guy, whatever, I'm 1,000% picking Malkin over anyone you're putting out there. And so I would love to see that happen. I don't like to get excited over stuff like this because I just can't see it. And I think he's going to try to ride it out with Sid, but who knows? Maybe they go to him and they're like, listen, man, it's been a good run. We wish you well. Thank you for the memories. We look forward to your jersey retirement ceremony. We look forward to your Hockey Hall of Fame enshrinement. But in terms of a 26-27 contract, it ain't going to happen here, Bubba. And we're going to cash you in. Oh, baby. I would lose my mind if this team ever got Geno Malkin. My God. It wouldn't shock me if the Devils were to offer a haul for one of their top guys and get outbid with a middling package. For who are you talking about? Jack, Malkin 3C, why not? Gritsuk on his wing. Oh, God. And then you could, depending on the game situation, then you load up a top line and you maybe move Jack to wing or something with Malkin. Yeah, the possibilities are crazy. Malkin would be, I would never do him again. Yeah, I can't see it either. Pens, I think they're going to be in the playoff race. They're going to be in the thick of it unless they completely fall off. And I wouldn't be shocked if they re-sign them. So I don't know. But who knows? Jason Marky, for some reason, is really bad against medium and low danger shots. It seems like he comes up with the crazy saves and then kind of lets mediocre ones in. Snow Devil says Fitz will make a call to the KHL and get sprung at the deadline. No one will win the cup. Oh, you meant Wedgwood. Okay. Yeah, I mean, listen, all these guys, it's not like the Devils gave up on them super quick. They just did not become their, the best version of themselves until later in their careers when not with the Devils anymore. No, it's his last year on his contract, but he's not going to retire. David, Malkin is a perfect fit. Only 1 year left on contract. Doesn't impact next season. Penn's hungry to pick up prospects. May even want Palat to help make league minimum and rising cap while rebuilding. Now you're getting crazy, David. Not only are they going to give us Malkin, they're going to take Palat. Come on. Don't get us all excited. But I think they're going to be in the thick of it, and that's why I don't think they're going to do it. But if this ever comes up, oh, my God. And I would hope Malkin would love it here and sign a couple-year deal for a team-friendly contract. These are the definitions of win now moves, David. Obviously. Imagine if he was like, I'll sign for $3 million a year for 2 more years. I'd give it to him without thinking about it. Sign it up. Yeah, he'll turn 40 this summer. Oh, my God. Just the thought of Malkin in a Devils jersey would be crazy. Well, what is overpaying, Snow? I'm not talking about $7 million. And also look at the production. Again, I don't care if you told me this guy's 60. He has 23 points in 19 games. I remember on deadline day, people were posting the Devils have made one more trade. Stay tuned. And then 10 minutes later, it was sprung. Yeah, it was brutal. Suk, I think they would actively try and get him out of the division if they were to trade. Probably. Red Devil, Tampa has become such a dirty team. This was painful to watch. I'd have loved to watch Dylan put someone in the ER for that punch on Nemo. Watch Dylan put. Yeah, I talked about that earlier. That the lack of response there was disappointing to me. After Nemo got punched, I wanted to see suspensions. Jason, a couple-year deal at 40 years old and you're afraid of Kadri. You're nuts. Over a point per game, my guy. Over a point per game still. I don't care about his 40 for a couple years if he signs team-friendly. I would do it in a heartbeat. The man's a living legend. David, I'm telling you, the Ducks took on bad contracts to make league minimum. You pay them enough, it could happen. It's not crazy talk. Of course, we don't know what Malkin wants. Oh, man. It would be crazy. If Malkin came, Siegenthaler would have to give up 71. Give me Kiefer. You're not getting Kiefer Sherwood, dude. He's on fire this year. I always wanted him. He led the league in hits last year. I was dreaming of, if the Quinn Hughes deal happened, that he was kind of like a throw-in. Not anymore. Dude's got 12 goals and 3 assists for 15 points in 21 games. Crazy. On fire. Robert, can you get my all-time favorite Devil Madden on the show, Ace? Loved him. He seemed to always get a shorthanded goal. Yeah, I mean, listen. Over time, I'm hoping to get all these guys. Any guy that you could think of that you'd want to hear from, I'm hoping in time to get all of them. He would be another awesome one. So I support that, Robert. I dropped the Siegenthaler's house and ripped the 71 jersey off himself. Larry, why is the stream still going? I can't. That this could be good for your physical and psychological health. Now we're talking about dream editions, Larry. We went past dooming to now we're all collectively dreaming of getting Evgeni Malkin. Snow Devil, will the Caps be rebuilding next year if they miss the playoffs? I guess that depends if Ovechkin retires or not. Ethan, knowing Fitz, he will call St. Louis for Milan Lucic. No, that's not going to happen. He won't come here. Scott Stevens would have never let a punch on a teammate go unanswered like that. That was the kind of response we needed tonight to fire up the team. I agree, but that was super late in the game. It was never going to happen. I mean, in terms of firing up the team, maybe for games going forward. But I said it in the moment that it was deplorable that Nemec got punched and no one did shit. It was just a wrestle fest. I wanted to see blood. We didn't see it. You know, hopefully the next time something like that happens, we see a more aggressive response because the wrestling hug fest isn't it. David, Depends would want Plot's contract to be able to cash on other guys like Raquel and Rust and not below NHL cap floor while we're building. It's not impossible. I don't think they ever go into a full rebuild while Sid is there, man. I could be wrong, but I think they're going to be sniffing the playoffs. And I think they're going to try to be as competitive as possible when, until Sid retires. So I watched the Canucks game yesterday. Sherwood is so good. He's off to a crazy start. Sherwood's going to have the hits record this year, but a lot. All right, guys, I'm taking a leak, and then we're going to wind this thing down. Bathroom break. Closing thoughts, comments, questions. I mean, now David got me all fired up with this Malkin talk. I was talking to my buddy about this. I just can't see it. It just seems too good to be true. But my God, how awesome it would be to see Geno Malkin come flying out in the red and black. I would lose it. I'd lose it entirely. All right, throw out your final stuff, folks. Thoughts, comments, questions, suggestions, whatever it is you got, throw it out there. When I come back, we'll start winding this thing down. Be right back. Be back in 2 minutes, then we start closing her down. I'm going to have dreams of Malkin as a devil tonight now after all this talk. Whoa, got a lot of chats here. I bet when we play them in December, someone will challenge that jerk. I certainly hope so. I would be showing that video of Nemo getting sucker punched in the locker room on loop until someone did something about it. Schmid beats the Rangers again. Red Devil, I hate these Gen Z fights where everyone grabs a dance partner and tries to look like they're doing something other than hugging. I can't stand it, Red Devil. I cannot stand it. I feel like it's, oh my God, you guys are chatting a lot. I feel like it's all that happens now. Like, drop the gloves and punch someone square in the face. I don't want to see the hug fest and we each peel off and we hug. No. Nemo got popped. There needed to be blood. Would you take the ghost of Erik Karlsson? Absolutely not. I hate that guy. I've always hated him. I thought it was a complete farce when they gave him the Norris a few years ago. The guy was like, yeah, he had like 100-something points, but he was like minus 40 on the worst team in the league, and they gave him the Defenseman of the Year. It's a complete joke. I could talk about what a sham the Norris Trophy is for hours, but no, I hate Erik Karlsson. Robert, how about Doug Gilmour on the show? People don't remember we had Killer. He'd be another great one for sure. Penguins don't even have Raquel. He's been hurt too. He said, Esa Tikkanen, oh my God, you're going back now. Yeah, right after Phil Housley, right? Jason O'Dillon's got to be our best D-man and protect the children. It's too much. Yeah, and Kovacevic will take some of that load when he comes back. I've been summoned back by Akira Schmidt schooling the Rangers yet again. Forever a legend. Absolutely. Love to see it. Love Gino. What a legend. I do too. Gino on the Devils would be phew. Dylan almost had another injury scare. Not sure he's that eager to go back to watching the games. Yeah, and who knows? He's probably fighting through something too, so he's probably not at 100%, and maybe he's not going to be looking to get into tussles. But someone's got to step up. And McEwen is a guy that could have done it too, but he's not playing either. He's out with an injury. Terrible. I don't care that he's 40. He's over a point per game right now. I don't care if you told me he's 60. Gino's getting it done. Stickpigs, just replace Palat with me. I'll take league minimum. I may not be too heavy, but I'm sure edgy and I'll violent to whoever goes after my teammates, assuming I can skate over to them. Yeah, can't lose Dilly. No, definitely don't want that. Jason, no, I'm serious. The Nemec thing made me more mad than the game. No, me too. Me too. And in the closing moments of a game we already lost, like, who cares about penalties? Like, Nemo gets popped. You got to take care of that, and it wasn't handled properly. Would you press the button? Devils receive Tanev, Tage, and Quinn for league minimum each, but have to field Vanacek as their 1A. Yes, I would do that for sure. You could overcome. I think with those guys at league minimum, you could overcome anyone in net. All right, guys, that's it. Devils lose a stinker. Get rolled by the Lightning 5-1. Jake Gensel gets a hat trick. Hopefully, he gets hat tricks for Team USA in the Olympics. American boy. We'll look forward to rooting for him and many of the other guys on Team USA in the Olympics. But Devils lose 5-1, an ugly one, bad game all around. They need to shake it off and come out with a much better game from top to bottom in Sunrise against the Panthers. We will see that Thursday night, and I will see all of you back here then. Hopefully, it is a much more celebratory post-game live where we are drinking victory drinks instead of loser beverages. Really sucks. But cheers to all of you. Thanks for coming out. Hit the like on your way out. Again, I'll leave. If you did not see the Stan Fischler interview yet, definitely check that out. Stan is an absolute legend, and it was amazing to be able to talk to him. I will put that link in the chat on my way out here. And that's it, folks. That's it. This one sucks, but I'm going to definitely have a dream tonight about Malkin as a devil, thanks to our guy, David Chimes. Sieg should have had career fight number 5. That would have been nice. That would have been nice. Snow Devil, thanks for the live ace. Looking forward to the win Thursday. Yeah, hopefully. Hopefully, I will see you all Thursday. Hopefully, we win. And that's it. I'm exhausted, and that game sucked. On to the next one. Like, comment, subscribe, and all that jazz. Until next time, friends, let's go.